Get fucking mad. All right, everybody. Welcome on in to the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. How is everybody doing today? Wow. What a 24 hours, huh? We have Francesca Hong defending me and Hassan while being asked if she regrets getting the support of such virulent, dangerous streamers like myself. Abdul El Sayed debating Stevens and the unprecedented flood of money. And I just want you to understand something, chat, that we have got to win. We have got to win. Because if we're going to defeat money in politics, we have to defeat money in politics. Mike, where were you and Hugo and Freda were talking about Dugan? I was here with you fucking idiots. And then a week after Abdul, which is now 7 days away, we have Francesca Hong. Francesca Hong. Next, the following Tuesday. So that's going to be unbelievable. 2 weeks away, 1 week away from Abdul, 2 weeks away from Francesca. And then it's like, oh my God. The summer is like almost over and we're heading into fall. Holy shit. Fight back and add to the momentum. There are the DSA candidates who need your support by volunteering to make calls, knock on doors, and even do other fun tasks. That's so true. When am I having Oliver back on? I have to think about it. You know, obviously we've had Oliver on and I've done a couple of like gaming events with him. You know, I have to spread the love. You know how it is. We'll see. Corey Bush. I mean, I don't really. I could try. I mean, of all the DSA candidates, Corey is the one I know the least. Am I feeling better today? I'm always feeling good. What do you think about the no-show debate? What that tells me is that they believe that Oliver's name recognition is too low to win. That's what that tells me. So that they're just going to sit back and they think they'll be fine. I think the thing that we could do to win with Oliver would be to bring Hassan in and do a GOTV weekend where for like 3 or 4 days. This is what I would suggest. For 3 or 4 days, Hassan is in Florida and we just do a bunch of like community-led phone banks and door knocks. That's what I would do. I mean, you know, if we're trying to like snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, I think that would be the best way to do it. But unfortunately, I don't control Hassan, right? You know. How about Tony Durden? Toby Durden? No, thank you. So what are we talking about today? Let's see here. We have obviously the Abdul El Sayed debate. The Iran war is merging with the Ukraine war. Wow, I can't believe it. I can't believe the NATO wars are all merging. I can't believe the U.S. imperial wars of genocide are merging with the Ukraine. This is my surprise face. PAKMAN, David PAKMAN, and Fox News repeating the same talking points. This is my shocked face. And of course, Francesca Hong defends us. U.S. accuses an American of allegedly wiping his phone using a duress password. What's wrong with that? Who cares? And it's my phone. I don't have to show you my fucking phone. It was unlawful for U.S. Customs and Border Protection to seize his phone as he arrived back in the U.S. last year, and that any evidence, including the alleged wiping of his phone, should be thrown out. Not only that, we actually need a like data privacy bill of rights. I should have the right to transit the border on vacation without my phone being cloned. Like, this is insane. Fuck you. Unless you have probable cause for a crime already, there should be like with a warrant that is articulable about what you're looking for. You should be able to look through my shit. It's in the fucking Constitution that I should be secured by persons and papers. In the 21st century, the phone is my papers, okay? Like, it's a straightforward analogy. Get the fuck out of here with this nonsense. And again, we need a Bill of Rights for data privacy. The government should not be able to buy commercially available data from these data brokers. These data brokers should be fucking regulated. I should know exactly what data is being collected. It should be easy for me to review, and I should be able to delete shit. Like, we need a 21st century data protection regime, and we need it now. But of course, the CIA and the NSA and the fucking fascists in our government don't want to do that. Did you see the new leaks from Honduras? They should send a decree motion for the control of social networks and remove anonymity as the Israelis requested, which could only go through Congress. Yeah. Have you heard of chat control being passed? I'm not familiar with that. And of course, like Ukraine is pro-Israel. Why is anybody surprised? Israel is an American puppet. The Ukrainian government is an American puppet. What are we doing here? Like, I think a lot of liberals were, able to do this kind of like mental gymnastics about how the Ukraine was not actually pro-Israel. They, because of how much there was a tension between Trump and the Ukrainian government. But that was a family fight. That was not an opposition, right? Like, that's what it was. And, obviously with the United States being dragged into a war with Iran, clearly the Russians have an interest in making that war as painful as possible for the U.S. in the same exact way that the Ukrainians, America made the Ukrainian war as painful as possible for the Russians. It's a natural strategic decision. So the idea that the United States was going to get, Russia's help on Iran while at the same time helping kill hundreds of thousands of their soldiers in Ukraine, it doesn't make sense. Now, I'm obviously not saying that here's the thing. Both sides could be bad at once, right? Russia invading Ukraine could be criminal and illegal, while at the same time, the genocide in Gaza, the illegal war in Iran is bad. Like, all those things can be true at the same time. Fortunately, it doesn't give you a convenient side to glom onto. Chat control is a set of EU proposals to put encryption backdoors and de-anonymization on all devices. Yeah, this is all Israel shit. That's all Israel shit. And of course, that kind of stuff is happening. Are you surprised? We need to coordinate a global-wide general strike. That's not how these things work. I'll explain it. I'll explain general strikes to you. General strikes are the culmination of widespread discontent. They cannot be coordinated and created. You must already have a population that is fed up, civilly disobedient, and acutely frustrated over an articulable condition, like happening in their real life, like in their face. Like you're not gonna just be like, all right, everybody, let's all do a general strike. That's not happening. And it's one of those like things that frustrates me a lot because it is such a bad idea. And it really bothers me. It really bothers me when people keep bringing that kind of shit up, because I don't like to be a party pooper, but it's embarrassing. Not just about discontent. There needs to be high levels of labor union participation. Yes, exactly. Like we're trying to coordinate for May 1st, 2028 for the expiration of union contracts at the same time. But we're not going to be like calling each other on the phone and then everyone's going to like do a general strike. Just stop it. Just stop it. You also need to have an organizing ahead of, well, it's both. And when I'm saying stop it, it's because it gets grating. I don't know what else you want me to say. It's like someone saying, push the communism button, Mike. Push the communism button. Stop it. Have you seen that liberal eagle sold us out for the Heritage Foundation? Oh, I can't. Did a liberal betray us? That's the first time I've heard. And by the way, Melanie, I'm not trying to shit on you too hard. I'm just saying, like, come on. Like, I'm not a person that just likes to hear shit like that. You should know that by now. You should know that I'm not somebody who likes to hear people going, if everybody just linked hands together and sang Kumbaya, we could all destroy capitalism. You should know by now I'm not a person that is attracted to that kind of conversation. Melanie is one of my best chatters. No, of course. I agree with that. I like Melanie a lot. I'm just saying that we should do a general strike. Like, come on, guys. Come on. The center left strikes back. Can they retire instead? Morning, everybody. Anyway, people can do a general strikes when it comes to some stupid pop culture issues. No, they haven't. Ossoff shorts popped up in my YouTube shorts. Yeah, you need to start shitting on him everywhere you are. You see these people? They're allies. You see these three people? They're allies. Stop giving them any positive comments. Never hand it to them. Stop it. We were desperate for good things. It was one thing, but now, like, can you stop handing it to our fucking enemies? Why are we bringing up the shit that just pisses me off the most? Meaning, like, the stuff that bothers me the most, like unrooted, just general suggestions of like radical action, plus three faces that piss me off the most in American politics today. It's like you guys are trying to make, you know, they aren't allies, they're enemies. Sorry, they're our enemies. It's like the two topics that make me the most ugly. Ro Khanna is not a socialist, you fucking dipshit. I think he might be getting paid. I think Armenta might be getting paid. Also, ranking Abdul as a presidential candidate, you're a fucking asshole. God, he's such a fucking hack. Quick China 8-minute video. Oh, yeah, let's do a China glaze. Let's do a China glaze. Let's get my energy up. Yes. China building world's largest fusion reactor. Hell yeah. Thank you for linking me something positive, chatter. Holy shit.
China's artificial sun program cleared a major milestone in 2026, a milestone that puts a date on the impossible. The country says it will generate its first electricity from nuclear fusion by around 2030. Driving this timeline is an engineering marvel. Two colossal fully home-built toroidal magnets weighing 582 tons, the largest ever made for a fusion device, which just passed full load testing alongside its companions.
What's so awesome about fusion is that it's so imminently doable. And once we have this kind of commercialized technology available, we could start to like the entire, how do I explain this? The more electricity we have available, the more kind of sci-fi shit starts to become reality. Like, the more abundant like electricity is, the cheaper it gets. The more we could start manipulating like basic reality. It's like we could start turning dirt and seawater into literal gold bricks. You know, like there is a different sci-fi level of technology and ability. Do you think warp drive will ever be possible? You know, obviously requires exotic matter that we don't know how to create. So what do you want me to say? I can't wait until my Mr. Fusion gets installed on my DeLorean. Yeah, exactly. Like the solar system is just full of so much abundance. Our Earth is full of so much abundance, but the problem is our ability to kind of like manipulate elemental nature is limited, right? So we need to find like ores, and we need to find these like concentrations. But once you start having like limitless free electricity, then you can start extracting precious metals from seawater. You can start creating, you know, you can start doing all sorts of stuff, which almost sounds fantastical. But it all has to do with how much does electricity cost? If electricity costs nothing, or electricity costs negative money, then suddenly we can start talking about all sorts of shit. That gets really interesting. Like, for example, you could extract carbon dioxide out of the air to make gasoline. You can, you know, as I said, mine precious metals from seawater. You could, you know, obviously desalinate fresh water from the ocean infinitely. There's so many weird things that suddenly become like we can. That's not even radical stuff. I'm just talking about surface level ideas. Solar from space has more potential, is more proven than fusion. The sun is a giant fusion reactor. I mean, like, obviously, I'm in favor of taking any technology that could produce electricity cheaply and sustainably.
Central solenoid. And the experimental reactor they belong to is scheduled for completion by the end of 2027. That reactor is only the newest member of the family Beijing calls its artificial suns. Machines in 2 Chinese cities that already run roughly 7 times hotter than the core of the real sun. So, what are these machines? Why is China building suns on Earth? And how real is that 2030 date?
The difference with China is they actually produce on time and on budget. So when China says 2030 we're going to do X, they finish it in 2028. You know, so if it was America or Europe saying 2030, I would scoff and go, nah, that ain't happening. But because it's China saying it, I think it might actually happen.
The artificial sun isn't one machine. It's a family of Chinese fusion experiments. There are 2 in particular that matter most right now. The first is called EAST, or EAST, the Experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak, in Hefei, run by the Institute of Plasma Physics under the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and HL3 in Chengdu, run by the Southwestern Institute of Physics under the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation. East has been running since 2006, and it was the world's first tokamak built with fully superconducting magnets. HL3 fired its first plasma in December 2020 under its original name, HL2M, and according to the CNNC, it is now China's largest and most advanced fusion device, with the highest operating parameters of its kind in any country. Now here's the basic idea. The sun makes its energy through fusion, squeezing hydrogen nuclei together until they merge into helium, releasing enormous amounts of energy. Every nuclear power plant on Earth today does the opposite, fission, splitting heavy atoms apart. Fusion, however, is the main prize here because the fuel is essentially seawater. Deuterium, a heavy form of hydrogen, can be extracted from ordinary water. By Chinese state media estimates, the deuterium in 1 litre of seawater can release the energy equivalent to about 300 litres of petrol. The catch, however, is that the sun's core runs at about 15 million degrees Celsius, and even worse, fusion is helped along by the sun's crushing gravitational pressure. On Earth, without that pressure,
imagine going like, oh, I need to refuel my fusion reactor, and you just go out to you step into the water and you fill up a liter bottle. You're like, well, that's equivalent to an entire gas tank of a large truck.
100 million degrees to force the nuclei to fuse. No material on the planet survives contact with that, so the trick is you never let it touch anything. That's what the tokamak is, a donut-shaped vacuum chamber wrapped in extremely powerful superconducting magnets. Those D-shaped toroidal field coils generate the ring-shaped magnet fields the machine is literally named for, tokamak. This is a Russian acronym for toroidal chamber with magnetic coils. That field grips the superheated plasma and holds it suspended. East sits on Science Island in Hefei, Anhui Province. In May 20...
You know, this seems like it would be a pretty good investment, you know, having limitless energy. I wonder why, I wonder why the communists are investing the most in it.
2021, it held 120 million degrees for 101 seconds, a world record then. By 2023, it managed 403 seconds of steady state, high confinement plasma. Then on January 20th, 2025, East sustained a steady state, high confined plasma above 100 million degrees for 1066 seconds. Now, this matters because physicists treat 1000 seconds as the ultimate threshold. It's the exact boundary line where machines stop running a brief test and start proving it can handle the continuous self-organized plasma circulation a real power grid demands. More than 1,000 kilometers to the southwest in Chengdu, the HL3 chases the other variable, heat. On March 28, 2025, CNNC announced that HL3 had achieved dual 100 million degrees for the first time. Atomic nuclei, the ions, at 117 million degrees Celsius, and electrons at 160 million degrees Celsius. The ion number is the one that counts, because ions are what actually fuse. The milestone came from heating systems China built itself, a high-power electron cyclotron system, and a 7 megawatt neutral beam injector. The machine's fusion triple product of temperature, density, and confinement time combined jumped significantly. HL3's chief designer said it moves China into the burning plasma experiment stage. CNNC now puts HL3's ion temperature at 120 million degrees. China also fully builds the machine's most punished component on its own, known as the first wall.
This is actually the main thing about this technology is because China has been excluded from a lot of international cooperation. It's forced them to invest in building the entire chain from manufacturing to infrastructure development to the physics. They've had to make a self-contained chain and invest in all those stages. Now they have 1.4 billion people, which is larger than Europe and the United States combined. So excluding China is really just a dumb fucking move for idiots. And just like with the International Space Station, we excluded China from cooperating with the International Space Station, so they built their own. And we tried to block China's participation in international space cooperation, so they built their own. And because of that, they're now not dependent upon us, and they have their own capability, and we are left behind because we do not get to benefit from their genius, from their investments, from their technological work. And, you know, ultimately, this kind of racist attempt to dominate is going to leave us in the dust.
Is an armor of tungsten.
Yeah, the Wolf Amendment should be repealed once AOC gets in. I mean, well, that's exactly the amendment that bans China from participating in international space cooperation.
Copper and stainless steel that directly faces the plasma. Which brings us back to the recent news, the two 582-ton toroidal field magnets.
Look at those
The
things,
machine
man.
those record-breaking magnets belong to is known as BEST, or BEST, the burning plasma experimental superconducting tokamak, currently being built right now in Hefei. A compact high-field machine, its base was installed in October 2025. Its giant magnets have now passed full load testing, and completion is scheduled for the end of 2027. BST's mission is the one no fusion machine on Earth has yet accomplished: demonstrate actual fusion power generation, getting more energy out of the burning plasma than you put in, handling the tritium fuel cycle in real time, and producing China's first fusion-generated electricity.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much one of the most important milestones. Once you have a fusion reactor that is putting out more electricity than you put in, you have achieved engineering viability. And it's only a matter of time before commercial viability.
And fusion is now official state policy. Controllable nuclear fusion has been written into the major projects of China's 15th five-year plan, covering 2026 to
China adopted the 15th five-year plan for 2026-2030 in March following the annual sessions of the Chinese People Political Consultative Conference, China's top political advisory body, and the National People's Congress, China's national legislature. With innovation and security as its leading themes, the latest five-year plan illuminates how nuclear energy underpins multiple strategic priorities for China in the context of not only energy security, but also technological innovation and global engagement. These priorities point to the country's continued interest in technology exports through the Belt and Road Initiative, domestic advanced reactor deployment, and fusion energy development. And like ultimately, they're already building, I think it's something like they're currently constructing 39 new nuclear reactors. I think they have something like 150 planned. And now they are also investing in the world's most advanced fusion reactor, while at the same time investing trillions in high-speed rail, solar, wind, battery storage technology, hydroelectric plants. I mean, they are trying to unwind themselves from dependency on fossil fuels and develop a truly carbon-free economy. And this, like, you know, obviously for the last like 20 years, it has been on the drawing board, right? It has been, oh, China is talking about doing this. But now we've reached the point where it's starting to bend down coal. Their coal production, their coal burning is actually starting to go down, while at the same time, their energy generation is going up. They're actually getting to that hinge point where they demonstrate this wasn't just, you know, green washing or green talk, but actually doing it. And that's why the United States is starting to scramble. That's why the United States is starting to pretend like, we gotta like contain China. Because instead of going like, oh man, China's doing some pretty smart stuff, maybe we should copy that. It's how do we get China contained? How do we separate China from the rest of the world? How do we blockade China? How do we sabotage China? Instead of saying, hey, these are some good ideas, maybe we should copy them.
2030. The roadmap laid out by CNNC's chief scientist states a first fusion ignition experiment by around 2027, full design capability for an engineering test reactor by around 2030, that reactor built around 2035, a demonstration reactor by 2045, and fusion electricity feeding China's grid by the middle of the century. China is also an equal partner in ITER, the 35-nation fusion megaproject in southern France, manufacturing key components for it. East and HL3 effectively double as testbeds for the physics ITER will run at full scale. But now let's talk about the honest catch. To achieve net energy, a reactor must generate more power from the fusion reaction than external heating power put into the plasma. While no tokamak in China or anywhere else has yet produced net energy, let alone net electricity, other reactors such as the National Ignition Facility in the United States have achieved scientific net energy using laser-driven inertial confinement. Temperature, duration and density have each been conquered separately. A working power plant needs all of them at once, and sustained not for minutes but for months. Chinese experts themselves are careful here. In March 2026, a senior nuclear industry expert and political advisor put the timeline for achieving controlled fusion at least another 20 to 30 years. The unsolved problems are hard: raw materials that survive years of neutron bombardment, a self-sufficient tritium fuel cycle, competitive costs. But the records tell us the direction of travel: 2 flagship machines, a 3rd under construction, an IAEA center, and a national 5-year plan. Whether fusion arrives in 2040 or 2060, China is positioning itself to own it when it does. Hefei holds the record for how long a star can burn in a box. Chengdu holds the record for how hot China can make one. And machine number 3, its giant magnets now tested and ready, is being built to prove a star can pay its own power bill, with the first watts targeted by 2030. The real sun took 4 billion years to shape life on Earth. China is betting it can bottle one in under 5.
And like, that is embarrassing for me because it feels like our country is not trying to achieve anything anymore. Like, what is America really trying to achieve in the future? I think the greatest betrayal of the boomer generation is their obsession with nostalgia. Their obsession with the past. Their obsession with like the advertisements they saw while they were children. They're not actually trying to achieve a future. In fact, most of the Boomer and Gen X political conversation is how do we sabotage the future and consume as much as possible while we're still alive. What's this? Oh God.
America spent $4 trillion in the Middle East, and this is what China spent $4 trillion on. The world's largest high-speed rail system.
What is she doing? What are they doing? They're going after the gnomes. What is she doing?
50,000 kilometers. The massive Three Gorges Dam, the world's largest hydropower dam. 200 new airports. The world's largest 5G network with more towers than the rest of the world combined. Over 40 million units of affordable housing housing 100 million low-income residents. Built the longest 50-kilometer bridge over water. Built the world's most nuclear reactors generating 23,000 megawatts of energy. Built the world's most advanced electrical grid. The entire Belt and Road project, ports, railways, and roads in over 140 countries. Over 2 billion solar panels, including the world's largest solar farm. Built a fully operational space station, landed a rover on Mars, and became the first country to receive samples from the far side of the moon. A 2,700-mile canal system, the largest water diversion project ever built. Xialan, an entire high-tech city built from scratch. 7,700 offshore wind turbines generating 50% of the world's wind power. The Green Great Wall, which planted over 70 billion trees. And China built 7 of the world's top 10 busiest ports. It's kind of amazing what you can build for $4 trillion instead of spending it on war.
Okay, hold on. What was she doing? She was Chad, I'm getting distracted. She was trying to like climb the wall. She was trying to climb my my sound deadening panels. What the hell was that? Are you okay? She's trying to spider cat. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so there you have it. China investing deep in fusion energy, renewable energy, space technology, high-speed rail. Amazing. What is America spending on?
The Pentagon has updated its war casualty database, adding more than 140 wounded and restoring 4 soldiers killed in Iranian strikes last weekend since the US launched its war with Iran on February the 28th. 18 US troops have died and 624 have been wounded. Now, this comes after the Pentagon faced scrutiny last week when an apparent data glitch on the website meant the casualty numbers actually decreased. Well, CNN's Davis Winky joining me from Atlanta for more. And understandably, people now seeking further detail on the latest casualties, the updated figures, who they are, how they were injured, and why it is that these numbers were reduced over the weekend, not increased. Davis, what do we know at this point?
Becky, this saga is really interesting in that it goes a lot to show the way that this Pentagon's approach to transparency breaks from that of previous administrations. They've been treating the Defense Casualty Analysis System, this online database, as the ongoing source of truth that the public and the media can access for updated information on war casualties. The issue with that, though, is that we've been observing this website on a minute-by-minute basis for a week at this point, and we saw data fluctuations. We saw numbers changing from minute to minute. And those fluctuations, when they would appear on the website and be reproduced by people who are looking to it as the source info for casualty info, led to widespread scrutiny, whether it was from the media, and it also came from some lawmakers. The 12 Democratic senators on the Senate Armed Services Committee wrote a letter to the Pentagon, the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, last Thursday, demanding answers on the issues with the database. They updated it over the weekend to add these additional casualties, as you said, and they also added a new category called overseas operations, which is distinguished from their Operation Epic Fury category, Epic Fury being the first phase of the Pentagon.
I'm sorry, Chad. I was gonna have like an outburst, but then as the words were forming in my mouth, it just feels like, what do you even say at this point? You know, I feel like a lot of my coverage lately has been me been saying that, which is like, what do you even say at this point? It just feels repetitive. The analysis remains the same. The corruption of our government, the fact that citizens don't even see that our money is being spent infinitely. It's like, just because it doesn't seem to be affecting your life doesn't mean the money's not being spent. This is the biggest hurdle, right? When trillions of dollars are being stolen from you, but your life doesn't seem to change, that money's still being stolen from you. We spent $30 trillion on wars. We can't spend them here. And we have to pay the debt, which means what? We're going to have to cut what you see around you. It has to get worse to pay the debts. If you're wondering why everything is slowly getting worse, that's why. I was looking at some German defense spending today, and Germany has cut $40 billion from their social safety net in order to expand their military budget by 24% year over year. 24% year over year increase of defense spending in Germany. That is fucking insane. It makes no sense. It's an evil decision. It's a batshit crazy decision. Our military spending has almost doubled since Trump's first term. Doubled! Has your income doubled?
War with Iran. The new overseas operations category is interesting because it doesn't have a ton of information on where these things occur, how these things occur, and we're waiting on clarifying info from the Pentagon on that. But the really important bit is that it starts on July 7th. That's significant, Becky, because the Trump administration says July 7th is when a new conflict with Iran began for the purposes of the War Powers Act. You know, the U.S., the president has 60 days to conduct military action before they need congressional approval to continue. Trump admin said that clock stopped from the first phase of the war when they declared the ceasefire in April. What with the new period of the conflict starting on July 7th, that's the significance of why we're seeing the new category pop up to align with that date moving forward. Becky?
That's fascinating. Good to have you, Seb. Thank you.
The full cost of this war is becoming clear. Over the weekend, the Pentagon quietly updated the total injuries and casualties since the start of Operation Epic Fury. An online Defense Department database now lists more than 600 wounded. That's up from 482 just last week. It also lists the total number of troops killed as 18. This coming on the heels of outrage, frankly, over the Pentagon removing 4 names from the war's official death toll. The deaths of those service members have been reinstated, but in a new category. The Trump administration telling Congress that Operation Epic Fury is over and a new operation is now underway.
These databases should really be reflecting reality, regardless of the political niceties of the War Powers Act, or which operation you're in, whether it's Epic Fury or the follow-on to Epic Fury or something else. But the key thing is that these databases be accurate and that they reflect the true nature of the cost of war.
Joining me now in the group chat, Sarah Fisher, CNN senior media analyst and senior media reporter at Axios, Laura Davison, Washington deputy bureau chief at Bloomberg News, and Francesca Chambers, White House correspondent at USA Today. The fact that the Defense Department is classifying deaths, injuries in a different way, also looking to do overseas operation versus Operation Epic Fury, that has a really significant impact, Francesca.
And this also comes after President Trump himself said that the number was 18 last week, while he was justifying the ongoing war in Iran and defending it, especially after the House had just taken that vote to say that the operation should not continue in Iran. He said that it was 18 compared to some of these other wars that lasted years and had thousands of deaths. So, just putting that out there as an acknowledgement from the president himself of what the death toll in this war has been. Now, as far as how they're trying to reclassify it at the Pentagon, I was speaking to House Speaker Mike Johnson earlier in the month, and or at the end of last month, and he had also said that he thought that the 60-day clock on this would restart if the Trump administration had the ceasefire break down and then restart. That seems to be the argument that the Trump administration is trying to make now, which is that this is a new conflict. Clocks restarted on this congressional approval timeframe.
It is fascinating, though, to watch the back and forth here. I mean, this is, right, and certainly the backlash that we saw, this is all entirely of the administration's own making, message-wise.
Yes, and it's part of a larger communications failure around the war. It's not just deaths, it's also how and when does this ceasefire actually start? When does it conclude? I think that the American people are not naive. They look at this conflict in its totality, which is it didn't have to be a war of our making. It was a war by choice, as the Democrats are saying. And they don't really care whether or not a death occurred in one part of the war or after a ceasefire. They just want to understand holistically how many people were hurt, how many people were killed. It also matters a lot for congressional funding, because when you're asking Congress for money, one of the things that you have to consider if you're a member is, do we need to give more funding to protect people's lives? Well, if you don't have a real accurate sense of how many people's lives are being impacted, how do you make those decisions? And so this is a crisis of confidence in terms of not just how much we are reporting, but also how we're communicating it. I don't think the American people are buying necessarily this reclassification of the numbers.
An administration that likes to bill itself as the most transparent, right, in history, and you're dealing with a Pentagon that is not, frankly, transparent and is not as forthcoming with information and in making themselves as available. There has also been reporting about some pushback from Vice President Vance as well.
Oh, by the way, Ukraine has started attacking Iranian ships. On commercial? Am I okay? Sorry, Chad. I'm just going by the breaking news. Okay, this is not it. What the fuck?
As diplomatic efforts appear to ramp up between the US and Iran, Tehran is now embroiled in another conflict. In a stunning development, Iran claims Ukraine attacked one of its vessels in the Caspian Sea over the weekend. Now, Ukraine's president says drones targeted several ships which were transporting military cargo from Iran to Russia. That's the story out of Ukraine. Iran says at least one person was killed and 3 injured and is now threatening Ukraine. This all comes as US military operations against Iran do appear to be on hold. Despite the US signaling new diplomatic efforts, Tehran insists Washington will not determine the timing of this war. Look, from Europe to the Gulf, we are following all sides of this evolving story for you. Today, we've got Claire.
I mean, this was kind of an inevitability just from the strategic reality, right? Like, obviously, Iran is being attacked by the United States and its allies, and Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, right? And NATO, obviously. And so Russia is at a war with Ukraine, which Europe and the United States and Israel are supporting Ukraine. So it's only a matter of time that there's like a strategic alignment that occurs, right? Like the Iranians are going to be forced to align themselves more with Russia out of strategic necessity, right? Like they're fighting similar forces. They're fighting, they share borders. So Of course they're going to find themselves in alignment. Like this is kind of the nature of what's happening here. It's similar to how Finland and Nazi Germany were aligned, right? Finland was in a conflict with the Soviet Union. Nazi Germany invaded Russia, invaded the Soviet Union, so Finland allied with Nazi Germany. Like that is the strategic alignment, right? And it's just the way it goes. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner, to be honest with you.
Sebastian in London. Leni Jokos is in.
And what I am surprised is that Ukraine did it themselves, right? Like obviously, the vast majority of the American people in Europe and Asia are all against America's war on Iran. They're against Israel, right? But now Ukraine, I guess the gamble is that Ukraine support among liberals is so high that if they launch attacks on Iran, that people are going to align more with Israel. I think that's the strategy of like, if Ukraine attacks Iran, then liberals will stop caring about the Gaza genocide and they'll align with fighting Iran. Is that the strategy?
Let's start.
Some of y'all supporting Russia is wild. Being a liberal must be a special. I don't know. It's like, have you ever like smoked an absolute shit ton of weed and just necessarily like the cycles of your brain slow down? You kind of become a little bit, I don't know how else to put it, dumber. It could be relaxing, for a night or two. But like, God, can you imagine living like that?
If we can, Claire, with Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warning that this incident in the Caspian Sea cannot go unanswered. What is going on there, and why would Kyiv risk getting mixed up in another conflict?
I'm on that daily skill issue. Honestly, you're probably just, your tolerance is so up that you're not even really doing anything except burning through your wallet. You take a tea break, bro. You take a tea break. You're not my real dad.
Yeah, Becky, I think it's a calculated.
I don't think he's claiming you anytime soon, so I might as well be the guy that steps up.
Share
you some wisdom
for Ukraine here. I just want to be clear, we're not 100% sure at this point what exactly happened. We have different accounts from different sides. Ukraine says it hit cargo ships that were under international sanctions, as well as a sort of missile boat, a military ship. It's not saying which countries they were flagged under or owned by. It's saying they were involved in transporting military equipment between Iran and Russia. Those were the exact words of President Zelensky over the weekend. Iran, of course, on the other hand, is saying that one cargo ship, civilian cargo ship, was hit and one seafarer was killed and several injured, and the ship was on its way from Russia to Iran. So we have different accounts there, but why would Ukraine take the risk here? I think.
So, okay. So let's say, for example, so it's a civilian cargo ship. Ukraine is claiming it was carrying weapons. What if it was carrying weapons from Russia to Iran to help Iran defend itself against the United States and Israel? So Ukraine is injecting themselves into the war on the side of Israel. And this is something that liberals have a hard time understanding, is that Taiwan and Ukraine are pro-genocide. Like, this is something that liberals have a hard time like reckoning with, because they want to believe the United States is the good guys. We're the good guys in Taiwan. We're the good guys in Ukraine. So therefore, those are the good guys. So they must not support Israel's genocide in Gaza, because we can all see how patently evil that is. Styx has decided he wants to, that they're destroying my you've just decided to attack my Lego that VO made for me, a Lego tree. Anyway, let's keep going. So what was I saying? Oh, okay, hold on, what was I saying? I was talking about very important geopolitical issues till my cat came. The Lego. What was I saying? Oh, okay. So liberals have a hard time understanding this. This is something that, every time you bring this up, this will cause a liberal to crash out. If you're trying to convince a liberal to become more leftist, this shit will cause them to crash out harder than anything. Like, they just hate it. They hate it. They don't like it. Taiwan says it hopes Iran's people can soon enjoy freedom and democracy. Taiwan donates humanitarian aid to Israel, sends message of hope and solidarity. Taiwan supports U.S. and Israel's stance on Iran. Deputy Foreign Minister attends Israel Independence Day reception. Taiwan's foreign minister says closer ties with Israel align with the island's interests. Taiwan donates $5.14 million in humanitarian aid to Israel. Closer Israel-Taiwan relations rile China. Report reveals Taiwanese company's complicity in Gaza genocide. Citing biblical story, Taiwan president says Israel is a model for island's defense. They really fucking love Israel over there in Taiwan. Attack on pro-Palestinian activists in Taiwan undermines Israel's image on the island. Israeli aid to Taiwan's T-Dome missile shield sparks sharp rebuke from China. Breaking ranks, Taiwan backs Israeli recognition of Somaliland. Taiwan has seemingly become the first country to welcome Israel's recognition of Somaliland. Like, why Taiwan stands with Israel from the Atlantic Council. Like, again, you cannot support Taiwan without also supporting Israel's genocide in Gaza. Like, they are basically like that. And if this surprises you, you don't understand the world. You have a childish understanding of geopolitics, which is that Taiwan is there to attack China, to pressure China, to give the United States a launching point. It's basically a thorn in the side of China created for the purpose of harming China. It's not like a naturally occurring phenomenon. It is an American created puppet that is enforced and protected by American hegemony for the purpose of causing a war. And it's uncomfortable because there are people in Taiwan. I'm not saying that the people of Taiwan deserve domination or anything, but the geopolitical reality we live in is Taiwan and Israel and Ukraine. They are in alignment. They're completely supportive of one another in every way. And they don't care that Israel is carpet bombing and genociding and ethnically cleansing. They don't give a fuck about human rights, freedom, self-determination, democracy, none of that shit. And they do so with our money. Colombia's president-elect to suspend Palestinian embassy. Wow, I can't believe it. Wait, the far-right Colombian president is going to suspend? Oh my God, they're going to be super pro-Zionist. Wow, I can't believe it. This is the first time I'm hearing of this. U.S. looks to boost anti-China spending worldwide by hundreds of millions, documents say. So if you're wondering why you see so many Canadian leftists and so many British leftists and so many Argentinian leftists telling you why China bad, it's because they're getting paid by the State Department. $175.8 million to replace outdated and aging undersea telecommunication cables in the Caribbean and Central America to prevent China from moving in.
Is a really big question. Look, on the one hand, the position of Zelensky is that Iran has effectively already attacked Ukraine through its supply to Russia of Shahed drones and then the subsequent licenses, ballistic missiles also reportedly. And so that is his sort of official position, that this is a legitimate target. But I think the timing here is really interesting because, of course, Zelensky is now going into this big diplomatic week. He's in the UK today. He's heading, we think, to Washington tomorrow to meet with President Trump. And these strikes do allow him to sort of re-argue the prowess of Ukraine's deep strikes to help with this flipping of the narrative around the sort of patron-client relationship that we used to have with Ukraine when it visited its Western allies towards the sort of mutuality of these relationships. And of course, it helps bring Ukraine up the priority list, especially in the eyes of President Trump, if he sees that Ukraine is now potentially able to help weaken Iran through strikes like this, and also the danger of the burgeoning military relationship between Russia and Iran and how that could affect the course of the war with Iran. So I think all of that helps bolster those arguments for Zelensky going in to a critical diplomatic week and, of course, especially a critical meeting in the White House.
And what do we understand happened in the Caspian Sea, and how concerned should we be at this point about this conflict, that between the US and Iran, expanding into a new front?
By the way, Zelensky is in the United States right now. He's in a meeting with Trump, and then they're going to go to Lindsey Graham's funeral, which Democrats, by the way, are fucking drooling all over his casket. It's actually fucking disgusting.
It certainly has all
with
the
characteristics
that could happen. The Caspian Sea, of course, has been used to connect Iran and Russia for a long time, trading across it. And what Iran is saying about this incident, they're saying that a ship that was coming from Astrakhan at the northern end of the Caspian Sea was traveling carrying steel to Iran. Anzali was the port, Bandar Anzali at the southern end of the Caspian Sea, about 600 miles away, about 1,000 kilometers. And that's what the Iranians say was struck, a vessel simply coming from Russia to them carrying raw steel, and one person was killed and 3 were injured. Now, President Zelensky in Ukraine, his understanding of their strike, a Ukraine strike, is different. He says that this was an Iranian ship, or a ship, bringing Iranian weapons to Russia. And as we know, Russia has been using, over the last more than 4 years, Shahed and other types of drones that have been made in Iran and supplied to Russia. Russia's learned from those drones, augmented them, supplemented them, but lent heavily at times on Iran's support for weapons to be used in Ukraine. So from President Zelensky's point of view, that was a legitimate target. And the Ukrainians, for about the past 8 or 9 months, have been targeting Russian facilities inside the Caspian Sea. They've hit an oil terminal there, as well as some other shipping. But the crunch point of what you're saying here is, does this escalate the war? And if you listen to what Iranian leaders are saying, we've heard from the spokesman at the foreign ministry in Tehran and other senior Iranian officials saying Ukraine should not expect to get away with this. They should expect there to be a response. And one senior parliamentarian in Iran said, you know, the US and Israel have learnt that lesson. So Iran is very clearly signaling that it would choose a military response to Ukraine. And in that context, suddenly the war between the US and Iran and in the Gulf just balls westwards and has a whole other potential theater of military operation for the Iranians. They haven't done anything yet. They're speaking about it. In the past, when they've spoken about it, they do follow through.
Let's talk about the new Zelensky factor, if you will. Ukraine this weekend attacking this Iranian vessel in the Caspian Sea. This is a route for much of Iran's trade with Russia. Iran responding with warnings. The new one coming overnight from an Iranian regional governor is Ukraine, too, may soon come to understand that Iran does not let actions go unanswered. What does this do?
Kate, this is first of all, let's step way back. Iran has been supporting Russia in its war against Ukraine directly.
Oh my gosh, guys, look who it is. It's Biden's genocidal war criminal, Brett McGurk, the Republican neocon who has been running Democrat foreign policy for years now. Wow, I can't believe he's trying to say that Iran has been supporting Wow, I can't believe it, guys. I can't believe it. Wow, Ukraine is now attacking Iran. Now, here's kind of like my general feeling. Let me just be honest with you right now. That if Ukraine gets involved on the side of Iran, or excuse me, on the side of Israel against Iran, that's just going to result in Ukraine losing more.
They provide Shahed
it's
drones.
a very bad move, because the American people are not going to turn in favor of the war in Iran and in favor of the Gaza genocide because Ukraine starts attacking Iran. That's nonsense.
By technology. Russia now has a factory producing these Iranian Shahed drones, which allows Iran to prosecute.
So does the United States, because it's a very good technology. The United States copied it, and we make Shahed drones ourselves. So what the fuck does that mean? Doesn't mean anything, you fucking loser.
It's war. This has been going on for years. And Zelensky, about 3 days ago, said that the Ukrainians struck a ship in the Caspian Sea carrying military material.
By the way, military material can mean literally anything. Literally anything. So what the fuck is he talking about?
Russia and Iran. Iran is now claiming that this is basically an act of war, and Iran is now threatening to attack Ukraine.
Of course it is. If you attack a ship of another flagged nation, which is outside the territorial waters of a nation you're at war with, and you are committing an act of war against that nation, like, duh.
Ukraine. So this is how these two storylines are coming together. But the cooperation between Russia and and Iran has been going on for some time. But this will be a topic in the Oval Office when Zelensky meets with President Trump. Totally different dynamic than that infamous meeting.
So basically, it seems the strategy of the Ukrainians is, we'll join the war against Iran, we'll support Israel's genocide, as long as you help us with additional support fighting Russia. Is that the Zelensky strat?
About 18 months ago. Now Ukraine arguably has the upper hand. There's a sanctions bill pending still in the Senate, and Zelensky's coming with some cards, and he's saying he's going to lay out for the president his information on what Russia is doing to actually support Iran in its conflict against us. So this is how these two strands come together. The cooperation between Russia, Iran, and China is a larger backdrop to everything we're talking about day by day here, Kate. And that'll be a very important meeting in the Oval Office this week.
Yeah, I mean, do you call them these two storylines and two strands coming together? It's like, how much closer do these two wars come to each other? Is it kind of a terrifying prospect?
The Caspian Sea is literally an inland fucking lake. Imagine Nebraska bombing a ship in Lake Superior. That's what I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, it is. It is an act of war, like, obviously, by Ukraine against Iran, joining on the side of Israel and the United States. And here you go, because Zelensky warns 300K North Korean troops to join Putin's fight. Again, like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? Has there even been actual good evidence of North Korean troops inside of Ukraine? Or do they just have, like, Russian soldiers that looked Asian? They claim Asian Russians are North Korean. Yeah, I mean, like, what?
There's diplomatic efforts.
I mean, what do you even say? What do you even say? And like, honestly, the Lindsey Graham stuff, like, I'm starting to feel like the moment of, like, Vichy Democrats is, like, coming. Where the Democrats in power kind of accept Trumpian fascism in order to keep their kind of, like, designated positions. It's striking to see this bipartisan combination of former and current senators paying tribute to Graham in the rotunda. You have to wonder how many more lawmakers will inspire such widespread grief, especially as Washington becomes increasingly acrimonious. Democrats are slobbering over Lindsey Graham so much that a New York Times reporter had to comment on it. Many lawmakers of both parties shows visible emotions as they bid Graham farewell. Senator Chris Coons, Democrat of Delaware, crossed himself at the casket. Former Senator Richard Burr, Republican of North Carolina, leaned over to kiss the casket as he paid his respects. Come the fuck on. They're literally slobbering on it. You thought I was joking.
Any good? Not a bit of good. Not a bit. I'd put a stake through her heart and garlic around her neck to make sure she never come back.
Isn't that a pretty horrible thing to say when her funeral's going on right now?
Too bad, too bad.
I don't even know what to say. I'm looking at the coverage and I don't know what to say. That's the sadness you feel when you lose the person. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was something going on there. Kissing a casket is the action of a lover. Right? It's the action of someone who is physically entangled, right? Like, it is the act. Like, you wouldn't do that. Dem primary crosstabs, voters who did not vote in 2024 or voted for someone else. I mean, obviously it's AOC. Like, come on, clearly.
Iran has summoned Ukraine's diplomatic chief of mission after an attack on one of its commercial vessels in the Caspian Sea. Tehran says one sailor was killed and another injured in the Ukrainian attack. Iran is accusing Kyiv of trying to expand a war beyond its borders. But Ukraine says it was targeting Russian vessels carrying Iran-linked military cargo. President Volodymyr Zelensky also says Russia is assisting Iran in its military campaign in the Middle East.
Since the beginning of July, we have observed Russia conducting intensive satellite surveillance of the Gulf states and the U.S. military facilities located there. These satellite images are subsequently passed on to Iran. At the same time, there is a clear correlation between Russia's satellite imagery and Iranian strikes, both before attacks to support their planning and after attacks to assess the damage inflicted.
So in a statement, the Iranian Foreign Ministry said the Ukrainian regime's attack on the Iranian commercial vessel in the Caspian Sea, which was explicitly acknowledged by the head of that regime, is a sign of the continuation of the Ukrainian regime's irrational and hostile approach toward the Islamic Republic of Iran. All right, Al Jazeera's Tawhid Asadi joins me live from Tehran. So, Tawhid, I mean, are the Iranians concerned here that Ukrainian strikes might become a bit more common, or do they see this as kind of a one-off isolated incident?
Well, indeed, this is just for the first time that we have been witnessing such an incident, but there is no small spot of hesitation, at least from the strongest messages of condemnation that we see from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that there is such a concern about potentiality for repetition of such sort of attacks. We've got the Ministry of Foreign Affairs first announcing that they have summoned top Ukrainian diplomat, and they have condemned that attack as quote-unquote what they have called a violation of United Nations charter. Also, we know that in another statement coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they said that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had phone conversation with the EU foreign policy chief in that regard, and there he has called for the international community as well as the UN Security Council to respond to that attack, to condemn it. And of course, another separate statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not only just condemning it, but also warning about a sort of hostile approach that the Ukrainians are taking pertaining to Iran. All in all, we know that it is critically important, contextually speaking, for Iran, as it is dealing with a naval blockade by the Americans by itself, putting a lot of pressure on the maritime trade of the country.
So, Tauhid, help us understand here. President Zelensky is saying that the Russians are helping the Iranians in this war, and I wonder what Tehran has said about that claim.
Well, the official rhetoric that we hear from Tehran, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in particular, is that there is no Iranian involvement in Ukrainian-Russian conflict, and that is something that we witnessed when it comes to the recent statement regarding this attack, and also other statements, specifically from the beginning of the.
Notice he's making the argument that Russia is helping Iran, not that Iran is helping Russia. I mean, it is exactly why, the Ukrainians are injecting themselves on the side of Israel and the United States and their illegal war in Iran, right? Which, by the way, annihilates any kind of moral argument for supporting Ukraine, right? Like, basically, what is happening here is the realpolitik is happening, which is any argument that says we should support Iran because they're being attacked no longer has any merit, because Ukraine is immediately turning around and supporting Israel and the United States on their illegal attack on Iran, right? So they don't think that supporting illegal attacks is bad. So this is purely a realpolitik, force might makes right, kind of decision. Now, from my point of view, that means I can't support any of this shit. I can't support any of this shit because I don't believe in that. I don't believe in a world order dictated purely by might makes right. I just don't. I don't believe in that. So either Ukraine needs to clarify and say that's not what they believe, because that's the way they're acting. And it doesn't make sense if you're going to rely on these kind of liberal conceptions of international law and sovereignty and self-determination and against illegal aggressive wars of conquest, and then support Israel.
The conflict, the Iranians are putting emphasis that they are not interested in involvement in this conflict. Also, from time to time, they also expressed readiness for mediation to resolve this conflict. And this is the gist of the matter, a quote in the statement that we saw from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
All right, Al Jazeera's Tauhid Asadi joining us live from Tehran. Tauhid, thank you. The U.S. military says its forces boarded a tanker in the Arabian.
I think Ukraine is making the calculation of might makes right, seeing who's in the Oval Office right now. Am I crazy for thinking the only reason Ukraine is coming along for the ride is behind the scenes by Israel to allow them to get Iron Dome tech? Guys, Israel is running, we're running out of interceptors. We're not handing more to Ukraine. We can't even defend our own bases.
Well, I'm joined here in the studio by Paul Musgrave, who's an associate professor of government at Georgetown University in Qatar and focuses on US foreign policy. Paul, there's a lot going on and also in areas that we haven't potentially touched previously. Let's start with the Caspian Sea, because the Ukrainians have shown their ability to execute this long-range strike, a drone strike, against an Iranian vessel. One person killed, another injured. The Ukrainians say that this was essentially a military supply chain vessel going between Iran and Russia. How dramatically does this potentially expand the zone of conflict at the moment, pulling Tehran's northern lifeline with Russia into the US southern blockade?
Well, I'm reminded of the opening credits for Master and Commander. Oceans are now battlefields. Who would have thought 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that the Caspian Sea would become a front in what looks like a multi-pronged confrontation between Ukraine, Russia, Iran? Iran and Russia have had long military cooperation. Iran's Shahed drones, which in Russia are called the Giran drones, those are plans that have been shared, technology that's been shared. Ukraine claims that this was a legitimate military target. There are other indications, of course, that Washington, the West, and Ukraine have stepped up their coordination, which has raised some eyebrows and some questions about whether this act was coordinated. We've seen the U.S. grant licenses to manufacture Patriot missiles. We've seen increased economic pressure on Russia. Of course, Congress is also considering some more sanctions. But we do see in and around Iran, and now, of course, in and around the Arabian Gulf, increased pressure on shipping, increased look at choke points, and if the Caspian Sea, which for Iran is a very important northern economic lifeline, as we just heard, if this also comes into play, then that's something that is going to widen the scope of this. We're also now in what some analysts call the third missile age, and Iran and Ukraine, 10 years ago, not on most people's list of significant military powers, now able to exercise regional influence even in the middle of these really trying circumstances. I think that's a development in itself.
So if Ukraine isn't potentially acting purely on its own initiative here and is perhaps working in sympathy with the United States, what might be the underlying motives for Ukraine right now? Because it's simply a little bit more than blocking the supply of Iranian weapons to the theater of conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
Right. I mean, all of this could be, we're speculating a little bit here because it's very hard to know. On the other hand, you might imagine that there's greater coordination. Of course, Russia, according to reporting, has been helping supply Iran with targeting coordinates for its own campaign. And you can imagine that the natural alignment of interests against Moscow and Tehran would bring seemingly unaffiliated actors into this conflict.
Now, they're not unaffiliated unless you're fucking stupid, right? Like, they're completely affiliated because Ukraine has been openly supporting Ukraine for the entire genocide. Like, what are we talking about? It's just been an inconvenient fact for so-called progressives, okay? Like, the idea of, Ukraine and Taiwan have nothing to do with Israel. Meanwhile, they're screaming from the rooftops, we love Israel, we support Israel, we love them, we love them. Taiwan is like, we want to become the Israel of Asia. It's like, and again, it's very inconvenient if you're trying to be a pro-American empire progressive.
But the fact that Ukraine has these capabilities, the fact that Ukraine is able to wield these, may offer it additional leverage that it didn't have a couple of years ago. And certainly whatever else happens, whatever else the specific circumstances of this strike, I think that everybody involved is going to have to start looking at the geography of this broader conflict in a much different way, because now there's potentially a much different and more fearsome threat to shipping everywhere.
Whatever Ukraine decides to do in the Caspian needs to be extremely well calibrated. We've just heard from Russell Serdar, our correspondent in Tehran, saying that Kyiv might be in Iran's crosshairs. It's less than 2,000 kilometers away from Iran. It's well in range. I mean, how might that complicate things?
Well, if you look at maps of who is in range of Iranian missiles, it's a lot of folks, all of Turkey, all of Pakistan, of course, reaching into Europe. I think that for Iran, any response here is going to have to be calibrated on a few dimensions. First is, do they want to add another target to the wars that they are already fighting? You know, Iran's military capabilities are stressed here. They have a finite number of missiles. The United States and Israel have gone after their ability to reconstitute their missile programs. Then there's also the fact that if Iran were to start launching missiles into Europe, I think that folks in Europe themselves might actually begin to listen to some of the things that the Trump administration, which of course began this aspect of the conflict, has been saying about Europe's vulnerability to and interest in this conflict. I'm not sure that Iran would want to rush into that headlong.
Very, very lastly, Paul, just to explain to our international audience the significance of the Caspian Sea area, because viewers may wonder why the US doesn't have a naval presence there, for instance, or why NATO intelligence isn't perhaps as widespread in that particular part of the world. Give us an understanding of the powers at play, the factors that we need to take into consideration when we understand exactly what's happening north of Iran.
Well, the Caspian Sea, it's landlocked. It is an internal sea. It is bordered by countries that used to be part of the Soviet Union. It's not something where NATO or the West really had a lot of visibility. After the end of the Cold War, energy interests and others got involved there, but it has long been a Russian and local and Iranian lake. What's changed now, of course, is that we're starting to see Ukrainians who have greater familiarity with this area, who have the ability to talk to folks who are around the littoral of this area, folks who have their own reasons to distrust Russia. We're seeing this conflict extend. That also, of course, jeopardizes, say, how Kazakhstan and other Caspian energy exports might come to market. We are looking at global energy markets being drawn in, and that's going to draw in everywhere where there's global energy supplies.
So the Caspian becomes the next zone of conflict. Oil supplies could be further impacted. Supplies coming, as you say, from the likes of Kazakhstan and other parts of Central Asia. Paul, good to hear your thoughts and analysis. Many thanks for that. Paul Musgrave, Associate Professor of Government at Georgetown University.
All right. Well, we're just living in hell. What can you even say? We're living in hell. What can you even say? All right, chat. Let's take a look at some other issues on the day. Which is debate. Abdul crushes Haley Stevens and then what else do I want to say? Centrists mauling over DSA. We're about to have a lot of fun, chat. So this is the absolute state of mainstream media, right? Mainstream media is now genocidal centrist Zionists representing the Democratic Party and fascist liars. Americans believe the U.S. should arrest Benjamin Netanyahu by a +22 margin, including a majority of black voters, Hispanic voters, Asian voters, Kamala Harris voters, and independents. As usual, the far left position has widespread support of the American people. But when you turn on CNN, when you turn on this shit, what does it look like?
To disavow. I think that's maybe why they're so reluctant to disavow some of these really extreme radical policies, like getting rid of
not Asian ages 18 to 24. Did I say Asian? Okay. My brain is rotted today. Sorry.
As we saw under Biden, and but this is the thing. So look, Zoran Mamdani, you mentioned Zoran Mamdani earlier, and you said, great, can I talk for a second? So look, Zoran Mamdani, who you want to be part of this Democratic Party, who Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers. He wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish private property. This is literally the most radical.
When did he ever say that, Lydia?
He wants government-run Rikers.
You just lied.
I did not lie. Can I speak for 2 seconds? I'm not here to answer to you. Okay, can I speak for 2 seconds?
When did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA. I can point you to the website after. I'm happy to show you that.
The point is this.
Oh my Lord.
And this is the thing. Like I have said this from the beginning. I've said this from the jump. And Hassan is now copying this take pretty much word for word, which is good. I wish he would do that more. Which is I don't want to get rid of prisons. I've got a lot of people that need to be in prison. All right. But the purpose of prison should be rehabilitation. The purpose of prison should be avoiding it should be avoiding people becoming like more mentally ill, more criminalized, recidivism. Okay, that's the purpose of prison. There's a lot of people for example, in the White House right now that need to go into prison and never see the light of day. I'll be completely honest. Now, I do take on, like, in all seriousness, I do take on the movement of abolition and understanding exactly what they're trying to say, right? And the abolition movement, you know, it is a complicated movement. It is not a political program. It is a charge to reimagine the way we think about punishment and criminal justice, okay? It is intensely an intellectual exercise, okay? And so the idea that even abolitionist, even the strictest abolitionist would probably not tell you, oh yeah, we should let pedophiles and domestic abusers walk free. Like, that's not true. What we want to do is build a prison system that actually, or a criminal justice system that actually takes people who are committing antisocial behavior and integrate them and make them productive members of society.
Okay.
Then the word abolish is incorrect. I mean, there's a reason why I don't use it, right? Like, there's a reason why I don't use it, because I just don't think that the solution to fixing America right now, it has to involve arresting some of the fascists and the genociders and the war criminals and the insurrectionists. Like, I'm sorry, like, there are a lot of people that will need to be taken into custodial detention against their will in a state organ. So I don't feel comfortable. Like, that's my position. You know, you can disagree with me if you'd like. I respect that position. It's sort of like I respect people that are pacifists as well. I respect it. I'm aiming in the same direction you are, but sometimes, you know, in order to, like, make, say, for example, a custard, frozen custard, you got to cook the custard before you freeze it. To go toward abolition, we've got to put a lot of people in prison first. You know, you can't just, sometimes, you know, making ice cream isn't just always about making things cold directly. Sometimes you got to cook the custard. Okay? That makes sense? So let's keep going.
I'm happy to put you to the website.
It's just a simple question. Has he actually said that?
That's literally part of his platform.
Where?
On his website.
Was that on
he wants government-run grocery stores. This is literally.
When did he say about getting rid of
My
prisons?
point is that you have a candidate like Zoran Mamdani, who is incredibly radical.
Speaking of, Grandma has accused you of speaking against prison abolition and pedo jacketing absolution. I don't give a fuck what Grandma says. He's a fucking moron. As I said, I take prison abolition seriously by people that are actually intelligent. I showed you guys that Harvard Law Review article on prison abolition and kind of the 3 different strains within it, and talking about some of the, like, the hairy nubs, the hard nubs of prison abolition thought, right? If your idea is like, we need to significantly reduce the prison population because we're incarcerating way too many people, I'm 100% behind that. But if you're talking about, like, nobody ever should ever be arrested, that's insane. Go to a bar. Go to any bar, any night, and you're going to see somebody who deserves to be arrested, okay? So I just, you know, it is what it is. And I think that's why, like, people fixate on the abolition shit, because, and by the way, abolitionists agree with me. Public safety is vital, and it's going to sometimes involve making people that are out of control, violent, belligerent, and isolating them from the community for the community's protection and theirs. Like, everybody understands that. No serious prison abolitionists against imprisoning fascists once we win. I don't get why we're pretending the serious controversy. Well, the problem is when you say abolition, the word means something. But you're using abolition and then you're creating a term of art called prison abolition, which is different than the word abolition, which is why the movement trips over its own dick. It trips over its own dick because you're trying to say, oh, prison abolition doesn't actually mean abolition. It means this term of art. And you're getting frustrated that people are confused by the abolition thing. So I don't use it because I don't think it's good rhetoric. And, like, there's this thing on the left where when like somebody comes up with the slogan and the slogan is not attracting people and it's repulsing people, and then people become obsessed with the slogan, as opposed to recognizing that slogans are not policies. Slogans are not programs. If a slogan is not working, use a different slogan. But the way the left operates is, I'm using the slogan that pisses people off and makes them grossed out as evidence I'm the true leftist. And it's like, fuck the slogan. If the slogan isn't working, then move it, get a different slogan. And then they're trying to be like, well, I'm a true leftist because I like the slogans that offend the most amount of people. Like that's the way we're trying to live. And it's like, no, I won't use a slogan if it doesn't work. It's like it's like abolish the police or defund the police. If the slogan isn't working, don't use the slogan. What you really want is a policy. What is the policy you want? I want the police to have less money in the budget. I want the police to do less on the street. That's the policy you really want. So saying the slogan defund the police, if it interferes with the policy of giving less money to cops, then we don't use it. We use something else. It's not that big a deal. But if your entire personality is about expressing how left-wing you are, as opposed to achieving the policy, well, then you're going to glom on to the opportunity to show yourself as a true leftist, as opposed to what I care about, which is taking away resources and power from cops and police unions that exist and creating alternatives. Now, leftists are right that eventually we're going to have to confront these things more directly and less obliquely. But learn the lessons of the right. Did the right wing, how did they dismantle the New Deal? How did they dismantle the civil rights movement? How did they do it? Did they do it by saying, I'm going to ban unions? Did they do it by saying, I support racism? No, they did policies that had the effect of advancing their ultimate goal. And they did it sneakily. I'm not saying do things sneakily. I'm just saying at least try to find the arguments that work. Because when it comes down to it, nobody cares about the nitty-gritty policy. When you're in power, you get to enact the policies you want. People are not following every single little thing you do, every budget line item and all that. They'll never have the capacity. So if you have people that want to change the way we do policing in power and they're making those decisions, you can achieve your goal. Which again, the right understands and the left does not. And like, again, when you're talking about like, I want to see a world without prisons. I want to see a world without militaries. I want to see a world without economic inequality. I want to see a world, I'm aiming toward that world and I'm taking concrete steps in the direction. But sometimes you can't plunge ahead forward needlessly. You have to navigate around the hills and the valleys and the canyons. You can't go straight ahead always. Sometimes you have to turn tactically and make decisions that advance your power forward. There's always a risk that you'll get too far afield, that you'll lose sight of your North Star, whatever. There is no like easy straight line.
Democratic Party is thrilled to embrace because, yeah, the alternative is. Oh my Lord! Can you?
You and Hassan are essentially prison abolitionists. You just don't like the terminology because it wouldn't have popular appeal, which I understand. I think maybe we should be sneaky. Crypto abolitionism. That's exactly what my rant is trying to explain. I'm trying to explain to you guys the understanding of dog whistling and the Southern strategy and all those things. We could do all those things, but for good. We don't have to. If something doesn't test well, but explaining it in a different way does, then explain it in a different way. Like what? Like what are you, stupid? Like I can't even believe this is debatable. Again, it's debatable because why? Social dynamics, right? If I'm in an environment of only leftists, I demonstrate that I am the leftistest person by using the most extreme rhetoric that only leftists would like, right? I actually, ironically, win the social game among leftists by presenting myself as lefter than thou. However, who gives a shit about that? Me and only me. It's, again, this is a problem within these kind of social media spaces, is it's about brand building, right? As opposed to what is actually effective, they don't like. Why do you think they're attacking DSA so much? Everyone's obsessed with DSA because DSA is the most effective left-wing organization in American history already, right? As pathetic as that is, we are now becoming the most successful socialist organization in American history already. They're attacking us because what we're doing is working. They want you to be on the Discord. They want you to be on the 50-person splinter Maoism. Democratic primary for Wisconsin governor, Francesca Hogg, 44, David Crowley, 15, Mandela Barnes, 14. That's the Mike from PA difference. I'm hyped. I'm sorry, I'm hyped. Can we get an edit of Mehdi Hassan saying you went work with Mike and whatever the fuck? All the people going, you streamed with Mike from PA. We need a hype edit so I can post this is the Mike from PA difference. Ah! Should we not use socialist communists because people think we are going to nationalize their iPhone, car, house? There's always a balance, right? There's always a balance between like what is like the reason why I'm in favor of the socialist thing is because it separates the fake progressives from the real ones, right? Because socialist is not clearly advantageous for you. So it's something that you're at least we're working on changing, right? And it doesn't cost you that much. So it's one of those things where there's a like I don't think you should call yourself a communist. I've said that for a long time. You know, obviously because of the Communist Control Act and things like that make being communist illegal in America in a lot of ways, and the way they're trying to do like a new Red Scare, and there's a lot of like laws about being a communist and that can severely impact your life. So I suggest not calling yourself that for the purpose of not making it easy for your enemies, and just call yourself a socialist who cares. But I would never support suppressing communists. That's insane, right? That's, you know, is it still illegal to be a communist in the US? It's never been illegal to be a communist, but there are a lot of like dangerous things that can happen to you. Like you could get denied government assistance and loans, and you can't work in unions and all sorts of shit. So I would highly suggest just sticking with socialism. There's also a registry and all sorts of other shit. And the thing is, like, they used to call Obama a socialist. So when you're like, I'm a socialist, normies are like, yeah, they used to call Obama a socialist. And they laugh about it. It's actually advantageous to normalize our position because nobody cares about being called a socialist anymore because they overused it. 53% of Gen Z. Okay, this is just nonsense. This Glenn Gariff guy it works for Stevens. This is just nonsense. This is literally bullshit. Literally bullshit. I wouldn't worry about this at all. This guy's like, he's a complete crank. I would not worry about that guy. I've made fun of his shit before. It's literally, it's garbage. I don't even pay attention to that. C-rated pollster. He's a hack. You can literally ignore it. So what I'm trying to tell you is like, we should be developing slogans for a program, not sticking with slogans and sabotaging our program. But the thing is about developing a program is that actually requires intelligence. That requires hard work. So do you think that Marxism or Gremlo know anything about like criminal justice or public safety or developing programs for doing it in a left-wing way? Like, do you think they know anything? No, of course not. But they could just say I'm an abolitionist, and they don't have to say anything more, right? So what we should be doing is developing a program that advances our interests in a socialist direction, and then figure out slogans that make that program more popular. That should be the process, not slogan first and then defend the slogan no matter what. That's dumb. And like ultimately, this is like the big fight we're having in places like DSA. Is because for a lot of people, saying a slogan becomes so personally powerful for you, right? Like free Palestine, free Palestine. Like obviously that slogan of statement of belonging, it matters a lot. I say it every fucking day. I say free Palestine at the end of the stream. It matters a lot. But what am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to achieve a program here. I'm trying to achieve liberation of the Palestinian people. Yes, Francesca Hogg has started to get more national progressive endorsements, which you love to see. Sharing is caring is legitimate, a good slogan. It's a little childish. I'm not the biggest fan personally, but I get it. It must be serious being so serious about power to see of unserious people. Legitimately, I appreciate you saying that because most socialists in America are unserious about power, which is a serious problem. And I don't know how to change people's minds. Like so much of like I exist in social media. It's so much of social media is fan culture or personal brand building. And it's so fucking annoying that it makes me want to die. So much grifting, so much parasitical shit, so much brand building garbage. Very little in the way of like trying to build power, very little in the way of like trying to do anything actually. And I get it. I'm a lazy fuck. I like to sit around. I like to play video games and watch movies and go out to eat. Like, I get it. Like, I'm a lazy fuck. I'm like, we're all lazy fuck. But at the same time, I do real shit. I can point to real shit that I'm doing. How the fuck can you talk about politics every day and have literally nothing? It's mind-boggling to me. How do you live with yourself? You know what the number one thing that gives me anxiety The number one thing that gives me anxiety in my life is the fear that I'm not doing enough to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime moment.
I'm John Favreau. On today's show, writer and founder of the Slow Boring newsletter, Matt Iglesias. We've had a lot of people on the show make the case for why the Democratic Party...
Okay, maybe we shouldn't watch this yet. I might not be able to survive this. Let's watch the debate. Let's watch the debate. I think Hassan edited something down, right? Let's react a little bit about the debate. Fuck is it? I don't know why I feel so many contradictory emotions. The number one emotion I feel is frustration. And the frustration is with myself. I feel like I'm presenting arguments that just are so fucking logically tight and so obvious. And like I'm giving I feel like I should have so much more credibility than I do. And people like push back against me on stuff that I don't understand. And their pushback is stupid. And it's like, I don't know how to break free. And I feel like whenever you're in a situation where you feel like I'm making arguments, they're airtight. I have tremendous credibility. I've been right about so much and people are pushing back and you can't understand the thread of why they believe what they believe. And it's like crazy. And like, obviously the first thing when that happens, you have to self-reflect and go, okay, this must be ego. I must be missing something. What am I missing? What am I not understand? What am I not understand? Like, why are there so many people with DSA and on the left who think that they should not support AOC for president? Like, what am I missing? I think Americans, particularly in this era, are predisposed to have difficulty thinking in terms of acting in service of a movement as opposed to expecting the movement to serve them. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. People are stubborn and don't like to be wrong. I mean, you're only making me want to kill myself in a video game. Because who gives a shit about being wrong? Who gives a fuck? You go, oh, I thought AOC was kind of a sellout, but it turns out that people like her. And it's gonna, who gives a shit? Okay, move the fuck on. Who cares? No one's keeping track. I think the funniest thing for me is like Twitter people. I think Twitter people might be the most delusional of all time. People think Twitter means something. It is by far and away the most overrated platform of all time. It means abso-fucking-lutely nothing. The level of discourse on it is dog shit. It doesn't fucking matter at all, but people get the absolute biggest ego from it. It's insane. It'll make you look weak. You know what makes you look weak? Losing. Says the guy who talks about how right he is 80% of the street. Well, if you could show me where I'm wrong. I'm literally talking with you guys because I want to know what I could do better. Like, how do we, like, what are the things, like, help me brainstorm on things that I can do in order to try to make people less stupid. Because that's really what it feels like right now. It feels like when people attack me, they are scared of me. It's actually pathetic how scared people are of me. The amount of attacks I get, and I'm like, all right, let's debate on that. Let's talk about that. Like, oh, okay. Tim Miller, like all these fucking centrists. You have the tendency to blow up on comrades over minor disagreements with the same ferocity of yelling at Zionists. That has never happened. That has literally never happened. The only time I've blown up on people is when they have tried to deplatform me or called me or tried to in other ways permanently discredit or damage my stream.
It's not because Root Raj is in the pocket of Abdul al-Sayed or anything. No, he's just being truthful. He's actually holding an indirect answer as not enough. That's why he just keeps asking the same question. Because Haley Stevens...
People cannot be persuaded out of their motivations through direct discourse most of the time. Changes of heart come from self-persuasion. Old school hype with the Order of Romeo. See, the longer people stay in my community, the smarter they get. I have the opposite problem of Hassan. Whenever I see a 60-month chatter, which is the Order of Romeo, where you get this special badge for my dearly departed Romeo, they become smarter. The longer you're here, the smarter you get. And let me just say this about old school hype. You have just unlocked an argument in my brain that you have significantly raised my quality of life with the discourse that you just gave me. Oh my God. I have just unlocked something. I'm about to explain it to you guys, but I have just a puzzle piece finally clicked. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh my God, you're so right. Okay, I'll explain it. All right, so we cannot discourse with people because they're not engaging in discourse. They're engaging in status and social displays. And everything I'm saying about AOC and the alignment that's going to happen is going to happen automatically because it's going to start to become socially profitable to be aligned with her. I've talked about this before. So instead of me trying to force people, oh my God, a gold Kappa hype train. We're literally ascending. We're literally ascending. The universe is in alignment. We have just achieved enlightenment. Okay. So I can't force you guys. You guys can't see the future like I can, in the sense of understanding that everything's going to snap into place because it's going to become socially advantageous to be an AOC supporter. What I should be doing, instead of being mad at people for being stupid, I should just be positioning myself to take advantage of the incoming growth. I should be focused on positive, constructive things instead of focusing on the dummies and getting pissed off and ruining my vibes. I should just recognize that they're going to be coming in my direction because socially and economically, it's going to become advantageous to be a pro AOC. So I should just, I see that. I know what's going to happen. I can predict the future on this because structurally, we're not in a presidential campaign yet. So there's not people organizing for AOC yet. But it will happen when, after the midterm, it will happen automatically. So I just need to focus on being the most pro vibe guy and focus less on the people that annoy the fuck out of me and more on building something constructive. And the structures of the societies of the systems, they will push people in my direction automatically and they will self-persuade. I just need to be there first because I could see where the ground is shifting. Oh my God, you have just opened my eyes up to, thank you. My anxiety is literally zero now. I have figured it out. They're going to be stupid, but I can tell how the ground is going to shift. So I just need to go and stand it where it's going to be and start building my fucking like hotel. And you guys could all rent, rooms. And the Mike from PA was right building. Instead of like being mad at you guys for being stupid, just accept the stupidity as part of the nature of how politics is done and go and live. It's like go prospect, go plant my flag, go buy the deed. It's like I know that I know that there's going to be a brand new port built in this stretch of land. And instead of me like running around convincing people that this is going to be a great city, I should just go and buy the land. Go buy the land while it's cheap. Go build the hotel. Go build the general store. Go build, everything's going to be coming to me. Why am I convincing you? Fuck you. Why don't I just profit? Why don't I just go and build the institutions that are going to happen instead of being mad at you for not understanding how right I am? That's the Chinese strategy. Oh my God. I've ascended from that chatter. I have ascended. If you guys were able to see the world like I do, you would be me. I can't make you me. Oh my God, you've helped me so much. Holy shit. Oh my God. We have to go on the charisma maxing. We're going on charisma maxing. I have to charisma max. I have to charisma max. Oh my God, you guys are so right. Anybody who is persuaded by autistic logic has been persuaded at this point. If you are a person who is persuadable by autistic facts, you're already here. So I need to learn the charisma max. Oh my God, of course my chatters are the ones who are gonna see. This is the best community on Twitch. You guys are why I stream. Because whenever I'm feeling frustrated about the state of the world, I start up my stream and 5,000 of the most intelligent, attractive, amazing people show up and my morale is lifted to the heavens. It's so rare when I'm actually at a bad mood after I stream. You guys are, and I'm a grumpy person. You guys are the best, which is why right now we have a Golden Kappa hype train, which gives you the ability to unlock a Golden Kappa anywhere site-wide for an unbelievably generous. Now hold on to your butts. You'll be able to get a Golden Kappa emote for an unbelievably generous. Hold on. You're gonna have to hear it to believe it. 24 hours. How are you all not opening your wallets to have a Golden Kappa, your favorite emote that I see people using a lot, for an unbelievably generous 24 hours? I mean, how can you not participate in this hype trade by subbing, resubbing, using your Prime, giving at least 200 bits, or gifting at least one sub in the next 4 minutes? How can you not? How can you not take advantage of this once in a lifetime opportunity for a guys, it's a Golden Kappa for 24 hours. That's incredible. Because I got a job, bro. I love my chat so much. This is the one chat where the most sarcastic man on the planet being sarcastic is not being received. Oh my God, I'm like ascended.
If a diploma will prove I'm smarter than you, then so be it. Huh? Ah! can't read it.
Probably because you're still too stupid. Here. Huh? What kind of writing is this?
Mordecai, Rigby, you guys. Huh?
Guys, I have ascended. I've ascended into realizing that I mean, listen, I'm gonna still give my analysis, but we're in ascended state now. I have arisen. My mood is now unflappable. Do you guys understand how right we are? I was Francesca Hong. I was the first Francesca Hong believer. Do you understand the power of Mike from PA thought? Do you understand that we saw the vision? Do you remember when I was like, yeah, you know, Daria Lisa's going to win by 4. Fran's going to win by 20. Brad Later's going to get 65. Milat's going to win 10 to 15. And I was just like, pew, 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 pew. And I just nailed it. The visions are happening. Why are we mad? We're winning. We are ascended. Why on earth is Mandela Barnes running against? Why the fuck would Mandela Barnes not run? He literally was the nominee for Senate. He's got name recognition. He was lieutenant governor. Why the fuck would he? Francesca Hogg was a state representative. Why the hell would she run? It was crazy. It was a crazy belief. It only makes sense if you think that we are in a moment of unprecedented leftist opportunity. It only makes sense if you believe in sewer socialism. It only makes sense if you're one of us. And we were right. We weren't just right a little bit. We've never been more right. And she did it without AOC, without Bernie, without Zoran. She's done it on her own. From the power of our ideas, from DSA, from me, from Hassan. This is our win. This is not a Bernie's win. This is not AOC's win. This is fucking our win. Caroline too, of course. This is literally our theory without relying on any of the crutches. If Francesca Hong wins, this is literally the online left being utterly proven right in the most important race in the entire country. Are you guys tired of winning yet? Because I'm not. One thing I have been pondering is why, apart from Ro Khanna and Ilhan Omar, no prominent national progressive left politicians have endorsed Francesca Hong. True that they tend to endorse less often in state races, but Bernie endorsed Troy Jackson back when he was running for Maine governor, so it's not unheard of. They didn't think that she could win, and they had relationships with Mandela Barnes, and they were fucking wrong. And I want you to understand just how wrong they are, because it explains why we're in trouble, because they don't see the moment like we do. We're going to have to drag AOC and Zoran and Bernie kicking and screaming to take advantage, because they came up prior to this moment. And they're great. And I think all of them have advantages. And I think, you know, Zoran, he did, you know, he supported a lot of races in New York. AOC supported a lot of races in New York. Bernie has endorsed like 80 people. That's a good start. But they don't understand that it's bigger than that. The revolution is fucking here, and even they don't see it. Hong seems to be the front runner, would be to my knowledge, the only self-described Democratic socialist have won a Democratic nomination for a statewide office this cycle. She wins the nomination, goes on to win the general election. It would be another notch in the belt of the argument that progressive left candidates can win general elections in swing states. So why the trepidation? Why not jump at the opportunity to endorse her? Mandela Barnes is connected to this so-called progressive nonprofit industrial complex, which is so important in DC. Your MoveOn.orgs, your Warrens, your fucking worthless loser nonprofit fucking losers. And he was endorsed by Bernie and all this other shit. Thank you guys, the hype train. I appreciate you. And so there's all this hesitation to piss off him. I mean, we don't want to go and we don't want to do that. We don't want to do an intra-left fight. It's why they were cowardly with Claire Valdez. Only Zoran endorsed Claire, and she won by 20. So we have Ilhan, we have Ro Khanna, whatever the fuck. We got me, we got Hassan, we got Caroline. That's all we fucking need. All right, let's watch the debate. Let's watch the debate.
There needs to be reform, but there are people working.
Oh my God!
Actually serve you better focused on here in this debate and been focused.
Corollary, Shannon Watts likes AOC. Her popularity, charisma, etc. is so overawing that even paid Israel shills will support her because they parasocially adore her as a celebrity. That she is vehemently racist, opposes everyone else in the same politics. They're scared of AOC. She's too popular. If you attack AOC, you're going to fucking lose. Which is exactly why we need her to run. We need her to run because they're scared of her. Do you understand?
It's so good.
God, he's so
God.
All right.
Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this.
The Democratic Senate debate.
Let's go, Abdul.
Live
Let's
from
go,
our
Abdul.
Fox
Let's go,
2
Abdul.
studios. Here's Roop Raj.
And good evening and welcome to Studio C for the Democratic Senate debate. It's a chance for the two candidates to make their final pitch as to why they are the ones who can go up against Republican Mike Rogers.
This is why I don't like Adam. Adam blocked me, bro. That just so you understand who Adam Carson is, he blocked me. So anybody who doesn't like me, you can be pretty sure is a fucking fraud. As far as like reporters and shit. Like, why would you hate me? I'm not going in there and making threats and shit. I'm not getting people to, like, at the most I say you're wrong.
Now this is a race.
Sometimes I've watched the Bestie Marks videos. Sometimes.
The country is watching, and control of the upper chamber of Congress is on the line tonight.
Debate. Get ready.
First, Dr. Al-Sayed, you get the first opening statement tonight.
Roop, studio audience, folks watching at home, I am so grateful to be here. My name is Abdul Al-Sayed. I'm a doctor. I became a doctor because I go 15 minutes from where I grew up and travel a difference of 10 years difference in life expectancy. Instead of practicing clinically, I went into public health, rebuilt Detroit's health department, led Wayne County's Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services. We did things like put glasses on kids, took on corporate polluters, made sure that our kids weren't breathing the worst coming out of smokestacks, and eliminated medical debt. But I'm running because it just shouldn't be this hard. I've been down to 110 different cities, 475 public
Haley,
events.
stop interrupting.
I could go to a living room in Lansing. I could be
Haley,
in a church
stop
in Detroit.
interrupting Abdul.
No matter where I go, people tell me I need to be able to afford my groceries.
Whoa.
I need to be able to afford my gas. I need to be able to see a doctor when I get sick. My friend is going to frame this race about me and her. It's not about that. It's about you. It's about what you deserve.
I'm only watching the Hassan thing for two reasons. One, to fish Hassan viewers, to raise my viewership. Hot. Right? That's number one. The second reason is because I wanted to edit out the bullshit parts that didn't matter. But you know what I didn't sign up for? The fucking soundboard.
It's about you deserving a politics that's not bought off by the same corporations picking your pocket at every single turn. I'm looking forward to the conversation about how we get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, and pass Medicare for all.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed. Next up, Congresswoman Haley Stevens, you have 1 minute for your opening statement tonight.
Well, thank you to everyone tuning in tonight. As we know, the
Watch
stakes
this
of
clip first.
But thank you so much for pushing on the question. I appreciate that, Beth. Yeah, nice to see you. Yeah. And we still don't have the full tax return.
What should we?
The idea that you should care about Abdul Al-Sayed's tax return because his wife has her own like practice over her receiving $78 million from AIPAC in Israel is fucking insane.
Race couldn't be higher. Costs continue to go up. Our health care, voting rights, civil rights, it's all on the line, in addition to Social Security.
Chat, we've got a new Sticks emote. This time he's wearing jorts to make sure it's not too sexual. And also, that's my style. Is he here? Can you see? Here. Look, it's you. Why is he so caked up? Because if you know Sticks, you know he's caked up.
And Medicare. And if
Mike is Mike jortsing right now? No, I'm wearing these like shorts I bought at Costco. So I'm very stylish.
Rogers wins this race, all goes by the wayside. Look, Michigan
First time chatter gets a golden Kappa hype train. What the fuck?
Serves a senator who can win and who can deliver.
That's why Abdul's gonna win.
On the stage who has flipped a Republican seat, and I was named Michigan's most effective Democratic lawmaker in Congress because my only.
Okay, can we talk about this effective lawmaker bullshit? Like this is like teacher's pet nerd bullshit that means nothing. Like if I co-sign or I get assigned chief sponsorship of some meaningless bill that does nothing, I get rated as effective. But it doesn't actually, you know what? You know how we measure how things are effective? How do you feel about the direction of the country? Do you feel like the direction of the country is in the good direction? If so, you'll love Haley Stevens. If you think we're on the wrong track, choose Abdul Al-Sayed. I effectively led this country into a fucking ravine. It's not a good argument.
Focus is you. Abdul is running for celebrity. Republicans are propping up his campaign.
Okay, whenever somebody says you're a celebrity politician, it's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. That's exactly what they did to attack Obama. Like this is literally how they attacked Obama. You know you're fucking cooked. Whenever you're using John McCain attacks, you're cooked.
He's the biggest celebrity in the world. But is he ready to lead? With gas prices soaring, Barack Obama says no to offshore drilling and says he'll raise taxes on electricity. Higher taxes, more foreign oil. That's the real Obama.
I'm John McCain, and I approve this message.
I'm Haley Stevens, and I approve this message. Guys, everybody loves him, and he's an international celebrity. But did you think about these very boring, like, non-issue policies?
And Mike Rogers.
Can I also say, listen, I know it's sexist. I'm sorry for commenting on someone's appearance, but I've never seen I've never seen a forehead this small. I have never seen a forehead this small. I can't not notice it.
Just the other day said in
Republicans are propping up your campaign with AIPAC.
It easier for him to win, that he's the one he wants to run against. Look, this isn't about the DC.
Which is not what he said, by the way. He said that he was confident. He didn't say, oh, I would definitely want to run against Abdul El-Sayed. He said he's confident to his donors. What do you think he's going to say? Oh, no, if the progressive wins, I'm cooked. Like, what do you think he's going to say? It's like, imagine you were talking to a guy before the championship and you're like, do you think you could win? And they're like, no, they're better than us. We don't have any chance. I wouldn't bet on us. We're going to lose. Like, who would say that?
New York influencer crowd. This is about putting Michigan first, and I've got the receipts to do that, which is why Governor Whitmer and so many others are joining my campaign to win in November.
Congresswoman Dr. El-Sayed, thank you both for your opening statements. Listen, just want to give you an idea of how we're going to do things a little bit differently from other debates where perhaps it's a little more formalized. This is going to be a conversation where I'm the moderator. I'll ask you questions. The time cues will be given by me. No clocks here. So let's go, and we'll begin with this. So many people have questions about affordability. It's the number one thing we hear about from people. What are they doing in Washington to make sure that life is more affordable for me? Dr. El-Sayed, what are you doing that's something that perhaps we haven't heard before in Washington that's different to keep the cost of living down?
So let me just tell you, for me, it's I don't take money from the corporations who are jacking up your prices in the first place. When you're bought off by DTE and Blue Cross and Big Pharma and Big Tech and AIPAC, don't be surprised that there's a pro quo that comes with that quid. That money doesn't just fall off trees. $60 million from outside organizations in this race didn't just come from nowhere. It's because those exact same organizations expect something on the other side, and that's that they get to expect to own your next U.S. senator. So it starts with being able to say, I'm the only candidate in this race who doesn't take any money from corporations. Never have, never will. And then from there, I actually can stand up to them. I can do things like enforce our antitrust policies that haven't been enforced. I can do things like tax billionaires their wealth so we can take that money and invest it in you and your kids, in your schools. I can do things like make sure that rather than sending your money somewhere else to drop bombs on other people and their kids, we can keep that money here at home. And just in case you don't believe me, just think about this. Just last week, our friend here voted to send $3.3 billion of your tax dollars to a foreign government. That is the pro quo that comes with the quid of $30 million spent by AIPAC. So it really comes down to how are you funded?
Dr. El-Sayed, thank you. Congresswoman Haley Stevens, we heard a lot from Dr. El-Sayed. Some of that was about your record in Washington. I want you to be able to address that, but also tell us what you would do to keep the cost of living down.
Yeah, our affordability crisis is choking us out here in Michigan. You know, everywhere I go, if it's at the fish fry in downtown Detroit or the
I gotta pause it here. Every single time, like, it's so funny, like, when you know politician media training that comes from the Democratic Party, you can, I want to tell you what she's doing. Okay, so one, liberals believe to win, all you have to do is bear witness to suffering. That's step one. This is centrist Democrat media training. Are you ready? Step one, bear witness to suffering. 2, make a personal anecdote. 3, link it to some sort of nostalgia, and then stop talking. All right? What you will not hear is an idea to fix anything or any kind of person who's to blame for the problem. Let's see if that's what she does.
Single mom who just
Let's back it up. Let's back it up.
We heard a lot from Dr. El-Sayed. Some of that was about your record in Washington. I want you to be able to address that, but also tell us what you would do to keep the cost of living down.
Yeah, our affordability crisis is choking us out here in Michigan.
Witnesses
Everywhere I go, if it's at the fish fry in downtown Detroit, or the working single mom who just the other day told me her health care costs continue to go up, that the grocery bill is only getting harder. We don't need lip service. We need action.
We need to give Israel $3.3 billion.
Employees from certain corporations are spending their money, but let me tell you about what I am doing, because DTE and our utility companies are selling out their ratepayers, and I'm giving them an option. I'm saying DTE, either stop raising rates or lose your federal funds and cut executive pay. Look, we need proven fighters in these positions, and that is what I have done time and time again. I've got the receipts to show it, and this is also why Governor Whitmer and AG Nessel, two proven fighters who want to see results, have endorsed me in this race, because Michigan, it needs a workhorse in the United States Senate, sleeves rolled up, ready to tackle our problems on day one.
15.
And I'm not just stopping there. Let's lower the costs of groceries with my bill. No tariffs on groceries.
I do want to get into the weeds a bit with this, because I want to ask you a very direct question that so many people ask us. Are these folks getting money from big utility? Congresswoman Haley Stevens, are you taking money for your campaign from DTE or consumers?
No, but let me say this, Roop. I have been transparent. I have been transparent throughout this campaign, and let me just say this, that
she got 30 grand from DTE. She's lying.
That ever motivates my work is the people of Michigan, the people who I hear from. My opponent is on these big podcasts. He's running a podcast himself. These folks are making fun of the way I sound, but yet I sound like the people who need help, who are talking to me about what they need
Congresswoman,
done.
that was a follow-up to ask the direct question, whether you're taking money from utilities or not.
No.
The answer is no. Thank you. Dr. El-Sayed, I'm asking you the same question. Any money from anyone that we don't know about?
No and never, but then $40,000 in direct receipts to her campaign from DTE's corporate PAC. And then there's, I don't know, Center for Democratic Priorities, which released its funders, but then they're behind these shell organizations, these 501c4s. So I'd really like to revisit that question, because I don't know how to explain $40,000 directly to her campaign from DTE. I'm the only candidate in this race who's never touched a dime of corporate PAC money.
I do want to ask both of you about your campaigns respectively when it comes to certain questions that people have. Congresswoman, we'll begin with you. And we'll
Abdul should say, how can the people of Michigan trust you when you can't even be honest right now?
And it seems as though on many instances you haven't directly answered the question. Do you see why some people are bothered by the fact that so much money, $40+ million, has come from
good question.
For these PACs to talk about you and to promote you and to put you up as their candidate?
Yeah, and I appreciate the question, Roop, because this moment in this country and here in Michigan, people have every right to be frustrated about our campaign finance system. My opponent here on this stage, Abdul, he's got a super PAC that his father-in-law funds that has millions of dollars going into it. And look, in terms of foreign policy, Abdul and I do differ. I believe in a two-state solution. He has attacked me by name for purporting that the people of Palestine and the people of Israel deserve to live side by side peacefully. The goal is always long-term peace, and
the goal
also
is long-term peace. See, we have to do a genocide to get long-term peace.
Has to cook her. Please, Abdul, cook her. Please cook her, Abdul.
Look,
when can we start telling Bulwark fucks that their opinions are meaningless, they're diet fascists? Guys, I've been saying this since day one. I've been dead. I'm angry at everyone who works with Bulwark and have been since day one. I've been trashing Tim Miller since day one. Like, you're coming to tell me about people that I've been enemies with since day one.
Ganders want peace. They deserve to see peace.
You made a whole YouTube video about it. Yeah, I did. If you want to know who, there's a reason why Mike was right is the saying of this community, because whatever you think is like some modern idea, here's me. Mike calls out Tim Miller dumb. Pete Buttigieg and Liz Smith are our enemies 3 years ago. Nancy Pelosi wants a strong Republican Party. Mike destroys Bulwark neocon stupidity 3 months ago. Come on.
So Ron Cuomo, Tucker, and Ted Cruz.
Cuomo, Cruz, Zoran, Tucker.
Wow.
What's so funny about that? What's so funny about that? She said she would vote for Ted Cruz, one of the most right-wing Republicans in the entire country, who's behind Trump every step of the way, over Zoran Mamdani, the most exciting, pragmatic young Democrat in the entire country, who not only is making government work better, is taking his job seriously. But that's what she hates about it. She hates the fact that he's out there fixing. That's what she hates. She hates the fact that Zoran is telling people that maybe that the government can take care of stuff, because she's ideologically opposed to that. She wants us to privatize everything, corporatize everything. And Zoran Mamdani is about building a government that works for the regular people. God. And they love Destiny over at the Bulwark. They've brought him on like 5 times now. They love him over there.
And that is where I have always cast my vote, and that is the work that I want to do for Michigan and the U.S. Senate.
Wait. The Hassanabi tracker on Bulwark? The Michigan Democratic primary has grown toxic. Who's to blame? Ask the far right. They have a list. What I saw when Assad Piker and Abdul El Sayed came to town. Trump's tariffs trash the economy. Why won't we say that? I mean, I guess they talked about him in this. All right, whatever. 552 new articles? Oh my God, dude. Another Democratic socialist likely headed to Congress says 9/11 was inevitable. The New York Post has written about Hassan Piker 65 times. Jesus. All right, back to the debate.
About AIPAC money, more than $46 million has been spent on AIPAC spending to back your campaign. A lot of people wonder if that is something where you're going to do their bidding when should you win this seat. Is that something people should be concerned about? And if not, why not?
Absolutely not, Roop. Look, I have been very clear.
Why are they giving you 46 million then?
And I have
oh my God, Fox is cooking her. Thank you, moderator.
Peace. I want to see a 2-state solution. I am deeply proud to represent one of the largest Jewish populations in a congressional district.
Tel Aviv impressed.
This is a community that I have grieved alongside, that I've mourned alongside, and have fought to bring the hostages home. And I'm still working to get us to long-term peace.
But no concern about the $46 million+ spent on the behalf of AIPAC that should worry people about perhaps you doing their bidding should you win the seat.
Well, I don't think there's much difference between.
This is the first time in my life that I've ever seen anybody questioned about taking money from Israel. I have never seen that happen before. I have literally never seen that happen before. I'm in shock. What's your read on it? We're winning. I think what's happening is the hatred of Israel is so unanimous among regular people that the elite signaling is no longer functioning. It's like the Iraq War. The same thing happened with the Iraq War. I'm just old enough. I was 19 when we invaded Iraq. So I remember how it was unanimous among the elite that invading Iraq was a good idea, and only like the cranks left was against it. And then it got to the point over years where people started to lose faith in the mainstream media, and the Iraq War became unpopular. But still at the top, there was a real fight against pushing back, right? And like John Kerry, for example, voted for like Iraq funding, and then later voted against it. Like there was a moment where the unpopularity of the Iraq War was so high that it finally broke the kind of blob mentality. And I feel like that's happening with Israel, where in the elite, support of Israel goes without question, right? But among regular people, they hate Israel. And so these questions, like the guys that are local news guys, their milieu is more around regular people than the hyper elite. And so that sentiment of being anti-Israel, especially on the Democratic Party side, is just so much, it's so unanimous among regular people that they're no longer able to control stuff so much like they used to before. And that's why they're spending so much on Haley Stevens, guys. They're spending all that money on Haley Stevens because they're trying to keep the elites in the line. And they know they can't win. They know that popular opinion is against them, but they could hold elite. If they could buy this Senate seat, they could go to every Democrat. They could send their AIPAC handler into every Democrat's office and said, do you see what happened in Michigan? We defeated a popular progressive with not $100 million. We will fuck you up if you vote against Israel. That's what they're doing. This is really the last stand of AIPAC. If they can't beat Abdul El Sayed with $100 million, every single Democrat is going to be sitting there thinking, what if I don't stand up to Israel, I'm going to lose my job. Just like every Democrat had to go, if I don't start voting against the Iraq war, I'm going to lose my job.
super PACs going in for Abdul or super PACs going in for me. We have a problem with campaign finance reform in this country. I have an A grading from End Citizens United. I have been endorsed by Defend the Vote. I have voted consistently, and I'm going to stop Mike Rogers
almost $100 million of
the United States Senate, which is why
there's half of $100 million worth of difference.
Which is why somebody like Governor Whitmer is supporting me in this race.
Congresswoman Stevens, thank you. I want to give some equal time here to Dr. El-Sayed, and specifically, I want to talk to you a little bit about this geopolitical weight that we all feel in this community, which is about the Israel-Palestine issue. It obviously has colored this election greatly. It colors the Democratic Party. How do you see yourself moving forward, should you become a senator here, handling the situation with Iran, Israel, and Hamas?
So I just want to say the difference between us is $46 million of AIPAC spending. They've set a record in this race to help elect my opponent because they know that she'll be a reliable vote, just like she took last week to send your tax dollars to a foreign government that is aiding, arming, and abetting the very people who want to foreclose on the possibility of Palestinian self-determination. Look, at the end of the day, my job is to take care of you here. I want to be your U.S. Senator. I want your tax dollars spent in Michigan to provide schools in Michigan, to build health care in Michigan, to build roads in Michigan. And I think that money sent over there to kill
Bro, what is happening? The moderator is actually being decent.
Use of our tax dollars, and yet that's exactly what $46 million in spending will buy you. And I believe deeply that we have a responsibility to make sure that we don't make other people's problems worse. So I believe in equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinians and Jewish Israelis alike. I believe that we should not be fighting stupid wars that AIPAC wants us to fight in the first place. And I believe we have a responsibility to keep our money here, to invest here. That really is the difference. We're being outspent in this race 12-1. Chances are you're going to see an ad, probably 2 of them, on behalf of AIPAC for my opponent in the next commercial break. That's what that buys you, lying about a record around President Obama's endorsement or lying about me and my character. But that's exactly what happens when you stand up and say, maybe Palestinians should have rights too, and maybe we should have rights to our tax dollars here at home.
Dr. El-Sayed, I'm going to give Congresswoman a chance to respond, as you made a couple of accusations there about her record. Go ahead, Congresswoman.
As I said, I have been transparent, and that is why
No,
I
you
have
haven't.
released
No, you
my full
haven't.
tax returns.
You just
and
say
Abdul
it,
still
but you
hasn't.
haven't been.
We need to ask him, what's he hiding? What are the Republicans
What's he
going
hiding?
to uncover
Eric
in the general
style.
election that they will use against him? I am the only non-billionaire
What's he
in
hiding?
this race. I have been
What's he
recognized as
hiding?
an effective Democratic lawmaker
Islamically.
who, yes, governs in a clear, consistent way on complex challenges. I am beholden to the people of Michigan, the people who I hear from when I am in the grocery store line, people who've broken down in tears, asking me how we can address this affordability crisis. And that is what I am doing. That is what I will do on day one. And I have the receipts to prove it. Dana Nessel agrees with me.
Dr. El-Sayed, I do want to ask you a question about the tone and the tenor of this campaign. It is safe to say that everyone from Washington to Washington Township in Michigan are sick and tired of people pointing fingers, screaming, yelling, and insulting one another. We've seen a lot of that all across the country. Earlier this week, we heard that there was some kind of a Zoom call in which you had referenced an opponent as ogre on a pike, and so many people took offense to that. And it really pointed to the bigger question about the tone and tenor that you've been accused of having in this campaign. Do you regret any of the comments that you've made? And do you think that this race could take a more productive and a more substantive tone if we kept those personal slams out?
Look, I took to Twitter last week and said that the tone in which people talk about my opponent is unkind, and I asked anybody who supported me to not talk about her that way. In fact, when she got booed on the stage at the Michigan Democratic Party convention, I called her personally and said that that was unkind. My supporters had nothing to do with it, but I don't think that...
Okay. I think this might just be me, and you know, I'm not saying I know the right answer here, but I feel like whenever you do this kind of shit, all you do is you are validating it. You're evaluating it. You're validating this idea, the Bernie bro shit. Just be like, this stuff is so tired. Her supporters are Benjamin Netanyahu's genocidal state. They're killing 60,000 kids. Can we stop whining about tweets and get back to the real issues? This is nonsense. Judge me by what I say, not about what some anonymous account on Twitter is saying. Let's get real here. Let's get back to the business of Michiganders. That's the way I want to respond to this shit, right? Like, but hey, maybe I'm totally off.
that's the way we want to do politics. I was referring
Which is
to a
why
guy named
Haley
John
Stevens should
Fetterman,
stop
who's a senator
attacking me and
from
apologize.
Pennsylvania, who has done terrible things, got elected on a set of values, and is now completely throwing those values in the mud. And I do think it's important for any senator in Michigan to have a relationship with folks who are in the U.S. Senate. And if those folks are not actually acting in accordance with what they got elected on, I think it's important for all of us to have an honest opinion about what we're going to do to make sure that our Senate looks like the people it represents. But when we talk about unkindness, I also just want to speak to the fact that on behalf of my opponent, UDP, another name for AIPAC, has been running attack ad after attack ad after attack ad on my character. I'm the father of 2 daughters. I'm raising them to be stronger than any man. My wife is a doctor. My mother was the first tenured professor of engineering at her university. I was raised by strong women. To say that somehow, because I wrote an op-ed 15 years ago about First Lady Michelle Obama, or I ran against Governor Whitmer, that somehow I'm disrespecting anybody is just inconsistent with the truth. So I really think it's important for my opponent to speak to why she thinks it's okay to spend $10 million of AIPAC money coming after my character. I'd love to understand that, because I went on Twitter and I said that those comments are unkind. I'd like to see the same thing.
Congresswoman, we're going to get to some questions from our audience.
You should have gone harder. You should have gone harder on her.
To address that civility issue that is lacking severely in American politics. Is this something that the ads that you see on television, whether you paid for them or whether someone else paid for them, do you think they're doing an injustice to voters by just filling the room with vitriol and hate and not getting to the issues?
Well, look, there was something else that
oh my God, this moderator keeps cooking her.
That Abdul was mentioning, which is that he said that he's not going to be able to get much done, that he's not focused on policy for the first 2 years that he is in the.
Yes, the president is Donald Trump. Obviously, we'll do whatever we can to make people's lives better, but let's be completely honest. We're going to be in opposition and fighting Trump tooth and nail. The fact that you're ready to crawl on your knees for Donald Trump is a sign you need to be kept away from the fucking position. The people of Michigan want Trump's excesses opposed. If you want to work with Donald Trump, vote for Haley Stevens. Jesus Christ.
United States Senate.
What about civility? And she immediately goes back to attacking Abdul and saying,
again, Michigan needs a workhorse, and I am offering these ideas on day one.
Congressman, respectfully,
yes.
oh my God, you answer the question.
But
it's about civility.
It's about civility. Transparent about what is being said here. And look, Abdul's a great guy. He's a great father. You know, only he can account for saying that, you know, Whitmer's bought and paid for, or that, you know, no one cares about Debbie Stabenow, or that Mallory McMorrow isn't smart enough. You know, that is certainly on him to respond to, which we certainly just did hear from him on that.
Can I Dr. Al-Sayed, you have a quick minute here. Look, I told you at the outset that my opponent was going to make this race about me and her. But this is about you. This is about whether or not you deserve a politics of the people, by the people, and for the people, or of the corporations, by the billionaires, and for the special interests. In an effort to talk about civility, I just took another attack. And I just want you to ask yourself, what is it that you deserve from your politics now? Do you deserve a politician more focused on their opponent because they want to be in a seat? Or do you deserve a politics where we're all asking, how do we actually serve you best? Because that's what I'm focused on here in this debate and been focused on for this entire 15-month campaign that we've been running on.
You didn't call me an ogre.
No, again, for the record, it was Mr. Fetterman that was apparently called an ogre in the call, not you. However, I do want to get to some audience questions as well.
Oh my God, fact-checking, truthful fact-checking. It feels like a revelation, doesn't it? It feels like a revelation when there's truthful fact-checking, once in a lifetime.
It's time to take questions from our studio audience. We want to remind you that we are taking your questions at home as well. Just scan the QR screen or text.
They're being honest. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. The bar is so unbelievably low for local media. These guys are on a rocket ship over that bar.
And I think it's noteworthy that one of the reasons we're doing this debate is to contrast the two of you, where you stand on so many issues, but also on how you go about doing your business, how you campaign.
Yeah.
Dr. Al-Sayed, I'll begin with you. The Democratic Socialists of America have not made an endorsement in this particular race. But when you go to our rally, and we've covered so many of them are from that organization. Who are you when it comes to your political stripes? Many people call you progressive. Some have accused you of being a socialist. Not that that's a bad word, but people have said that.
This guy is my goat.
Where do you stand on your politics? How would you describe your politics?
I'm going to kiss him in the mouth when I go to Michigan, dude.
policy solutions that actually map to the problems that we face. My governing experience is rebuilding a health department in the city of Detroit, leading Wayne County's Department of Health, Human, and Veteran Services. We had to go in there and work with a diverse community to be asking, what are the challenges we face and how do we actually solve them? We were able to identify the fact that our county ranked the number 8 for medical debt nationwide, and we could eliminate that for a penny on the dollar. So we set aside $7 million to erase up to $700 million in medical debt. When kids couldn't get glasses, 30% of them would get tested positive for needing glasses.
Roop Raj is a baller.
We put optometrists on vans outside of schools so that as soon as a kid got a positive test, they go out, get a full optometric exam, and get a pair of glasses delivered within 2 weeks of a vision test. Now, working with a diverse community of people, you come to realize that not every solution fits the same way. You've got to be thinking about a solution in the right way. When it comes to the question of socialism, I'm not a socialist. I'm just a capitalist who understands how capitalism works. The biggest threat to capitalism was never the idea of government regulation. It was always monopoly. I want you to think about the stuff that you have to buy, whether it's your groceries and the number of stores you can go to, or it's buying a flight to see your grandmother, or it's picking a phone or a phone provider. You have like 2 or 3 options, and that shouldn't be legal, but that's the way our economy works right now. So I think government ought to be there to regulate on monopolies and oligopolies so that everybody can actually participate in an economy without having to be forced to pay more or get paid less for the work they do.
Congresswoman Stevens, another question about your campaign. We've seen just in the last few days, of course,
you know, listen, I don't think this shit, I don't think this shit is good. It's always been, I think it's cowardly. I think Bernie Sanders didn't give a shit. Nobody cares about this type of stuff. You know, saying you're a capitalist, I don't think that helps you in any way. I think it is a, hey, Shy Thembo, thanks for the raid, brother. We got the Chinese Empire invasion. Wow. I feel like you're gonna get me in trouble with these names. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't think this helps you. It's one of my biggest concerns with Abdul. You know, I like him. I think he'll be a great senator. Will's the editor. Hell yeah. I miss Will. I haven't seen him for like a while. It's been a minute. I miss Will. What was I gonna say? Yeah. What was I saying? Okay, yeah. All in all, Abdul is really like probably going to be my last non-DSA candidate. And I just think this is an L. I think this is an L. You're not a capitalist, bro. Like, you quit it. Fucking quit it.
Senator Sanders, we've seen AOC, and we've seen Elizabeth Warren just today, and they're all behind Abdul. These are the people who worked with you in the same room, have watched you for your 4 terms. Should that concern voters that they're taking the outsider's side in this case? You have a minute and a half.
Well, I think that we should look at the fact that Brenda Lawrence, my longtime mentor and dear friend, Congresswoman from Oakland County representing Detroit,
look at all my endorsements. All my endorsements. Don't look at the endorsers.
Senator Stabenow,
on the
Senator
financial
Peters,
side,
who, like myself, has been recognized as the most.
It's like all these right-wing losers, they like me, whereas Abdul is getting recommended by all the people that you guys like.
Effective lawmaker for our state. But let me be really clear.
I'm a workhorse. I'm an effective legislator. What are you going to do? What are your policies?
Michigan's
explain one policy.
Okay, I have visited hundreds of small to mid-sized manufacturing shop floors.
One policy.
I have operated CNC machines in my life previous to being in elected office. I have a deep passion for the bread and butter of our state and a unique understanding of it. So when Donald Trump and Mike Rogers go to lick the bootstraps of China and start a trade war with Canada, screwing us over and selling us down the river, I will be standing up for us and securing things like what I did with the CHIPS and Science Act to deliver for our youth.
Guys, like, I personally think this is the opposite strategy of what works. Like, if you're out there saying like, I did a lot, I was really close to Biden, I think that hurts you, even among Democrats. Do you think like regular people are like, I need more Biden era policies? The CHIPS Act was a fucking failure. The bipartisan infrastructure bill was a fucking failure. And like, one of the worst things about Democrats is they'll be like, we spent the most money. And it's like, well, what's the like effect? Like, did congestion go down? Did pedestrian deaths go down? Did automobile deaths go down? Did transit times go up? Did frequencies for public transit go up? Like, did we see better transit outcomes? Are the potholes filled? Like, they don't ever measure that. It's just like, we spent a bunch of money. But as far as like the experience in your life, is it better? Can you say, I remember before the Chips and Science Act. I remember before the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and then there was after the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And wow, did everything get so much better?
Equity and inclusion that is so very important to
It's all participation trophy politics. I passed a bill on this topic as opposed to your life is a lot better, right? We did that, right? And that's the difference between neoliberal politics and FDR style politics. In FDR New Deal style politics, people could see in their own lives the policies being enacted. They knew somebody was hired by the Civilian Conservation Corps. They saw infrastructure being built. They saw a mural on a brand new post office building. They saw new transit. They saw new housing. They saw real shit in the real life, whether it was a job, whether it was infrastructure, whether it was schools, whether it was, you know, like getting rid of malaria in Florida. Like, they saw shit happening in their lives, and they could point to it and they could say, FDR did that. But for Democrats now, it's like a participation trophy. I have a bill that I put my name on and it passed. See, reward me. And it's like, but the lives didn't get better. The felt material reality of a human beings in America is no different after the $100 billion you handed out to your friends. And that is the crisis.
Our future, jobs for everyone, lower costs, and yeah, stop these abuses of power that are coming down from Trump and Rogers.
She has no policies. I'm losing it. The only thing she can say is, I voted for the Chips and Science Act. That's it.
We're not done at all. In fact, the debate is only halfway through. Our conversation continues.
Roop Raj, you are my goat. You are my goat. You are a legend, Roop Raj. Oh my God. The bar is so low. The bar is so low, but the moderation I've seen so far from Michigan local broadcasters has been immaculate. It has been spectacular. Okay. The reason why I say this is not because like Roop Raj is, you know, in the pocket of Abdul al-Sayed or anything. No, he's just being truthful. He's actually holding an indirect answer as not enough. That's why he just keeps asking the same question. Because Haley Stevens, if you recall, I told you this. Haley Stevens never answers a direct question. She never answers a direct question. She just does the yokel shit, right? Oh, I'm a Youper. I got a Youper accent. I love Michigan. I'm going to fight for Michigan. Over and over again.
You call it shy brother, they go by they, them. Sibling. I'm sorry.
Roop Raj, don't play those games. Roop Raj says, I don't give a I'm Michigan too.
I got that gender neutral stuff ready to go.
Answer the God question. And that is great. I got the receipts. Oh, I'm from Michigan. Abdul is a scary Muslim. He hates women. That's all Haley Stevens is deployed so far.
Homie.
One of the great moments
Sibling.
In that debate. One of the great moments in that debate was when Abdul was like, look, it's just, what kind of politics do you want to see? Do you want to see a politics of incivility and constantly attacking your opposition? Or do you want a politics that puts you at the front and center, your issues? That was awesome. That was awesome. And it's true. It's just, yeah, can't run from the Raj, dude. Yeah, even when she was like, oh, you called me an ogre. And he had to literally correct her and be like, no, he called Senator John Fetterman an ogre. As a Youper, she does not sound like a Youper. I don't know what her deal is, but she's not one of us. I know, I've heard Youpers also say that. Do you agree with him being a capitalist, or do you think he was skirting the question and not supporting socialism? I don't care. I don't care that Abdul al-Sayed...
I do. Hassan's wrong. I do. This makes me nervous. I'll be completely honest. Like, I love Abdul. He's a million times better than Stevens. Obviously, the most important primary contradiction in our politics today is Zionism. However, whenever someone goes out of their way to be like, I am a capitalist, I get Cenk Uygur vibes, and it makes me nervous. You know, it is a yellow, it's a red flag, but a single red flag doesn't mean that you're a bad person or anything. It's just, I don't like it. I think it's bad. I think it's stale. 2018 era politics. I think it's a bad strat. I don't think it works because all the people that are behind you are all socialists. So it makes you look fake. It makes you look fake when it's like AOC supports me and Joe Biden supports me and Hassan Piker supports me, and it's like you have all these socialists behind you. You look fake. I don't think it's the right call. And instead of being like, I'm a capitalist, should be like, I'm a social democrat. I'm a New Deal Democrat. You know, I want to bring the Democratic Party back to its roots, but in a modernized way where we leave no communities behind. Don't say you're a capitalist, right? Like, I just think I think it's bad vibes. And I think it's a bad strat too. I think it hurts you. So I consider that a mistake. I know Hassan is saying he doesn't care, which I understand why. He's trying to help Abdul, but so am I. Abdul, don't say you're a capitalist. Just be like, I come from a rich a tradition of reformers in American history. You know, like, just don't. You know, you don't have to say I'm a democratic socialist, especially if you're not. But you don't have to say you're a capitalist.
For Senate says he's a capitalist, DSA supporter. Okay, it doesn't matter to me. His policy platform is near identical to Bernard Sanders. Okay, that's what I care about, especially considering that Zoran Mamdani is not exactly running on a platform of seizing the means of production, and no democratic socialist is running on this platform. I don't give a shit. I do think this is the last election cycle where someone will run for statewide office while shying away from adopting the moniker. I will tell you that this will be the last statewide office, the last election cycle where people running for statewide office will shy away from saying that they're socialists. That's what I think. Huber is someone raised in the Upper Peninsula. She's from Detroit, which is a long ways from the up. I know. I know she hams it up. We know she's not. We know she's not like being legit. The reason why she hams up her accent is specifically because it's a great way to deflect from her position. She always will deflect and be like, oh, it's just they're attacking me. They're attacking my positions. Haley Stevens denied taking money from DTE's Energy PAC. We checked. She did. Yeah.
When we talk about ICE, this is something that obviously has seemed to kind of calm down a bit, but it's still fundamentally important to everyone who's watching right now. Congresswoman Stevens, where do you stand on ICE and the funding for ICE and where things should be going?
Well, I am leading the charge in the Congress right now to redirect $70 billion of your tax money, Michiganders' taxpayer money, that went to ICE at the expense of your health care, at the expense of food benefits, all things that I am hearing from Michiganders where they are experiencing pain points. We've got to redirect that $70 billion back into communities. I called for Kristi Noem to go.
Communities like occupied Jerusalem, occupied West Bank, and Tel Aviv.
She was fired, but guess what? No reforms. Not a penny more for this rogue agency that is wreaking havoc. Look, I've talked to administrators at Harms Elementary in Detroit, you know, parents who are afraid to drop their kids off for school because of these ICE raids. This isn't working for us. This is abuse of power. And I am standing up to Trump right now on these abuses of power, not shouting into a bullhorn, not getting in front of the first camera I see, but doing the hard work. That is what Michigan deserves. Look, my opponent here, Abdul, he is such a talented guy. He's written 3 books. He's had 300 podcasts. You know, he's had all this attention. But the deal is we don't need a celebrity candidate. We don't need a celebrity senator. We need somebody who's...
If I were Abdul, I would just point to her and say, that's exactly what they said about Obama when he was running against John McCain, which is he's nothing but a celebrity. But most people here in the Democratic primary would say that running Barack Obama against John McCain was the right decision. And people are going to be mad at me and be like, Mike is normalizing Obama. Mike is normalizing Obama. And it's like, bro, you think Mike from PA is normalizing Obama?
Committed to 6 years of hard, unglamorous
person
work
who's calling a celebrity literally worked for the Detroit Public Health Department, by the way.
And causing chaos right before our very eyes. It's unacceptable.
All right, Congresswoman, thank you. Dr. Al-Sayed, you heard Congresswoman Stevens there say essentially strip.
She would say that Obama praised her work, and then you would respond, and you've done misleading ads implying that he endorsed you for the Senate race, and he has not. Will you look at the camera and tell the voters that Obama has not endorsed you and is staying neutral in this race? Because I think it's really dishonest of you to put out the impression to the Michiganders that you have been endorsed by Obama when you have not. I've been endorsed by AOC. I've been endorsed by Bernie Sanders. You have been endorsed not by Obama, but by AIPAC. Guys, you got to make it harder than that.
Away some of the funding.
Again, I am a politician, so debates are easy for me. But
is that not good enough?
Well, she's also voted to raise ICE funding for...
Mike, can you go through the Megan Roman interview on Fox News? I personally, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think DSA co-chairs should do that shit. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think, I think it's outside the purview of what they should be doing. Like, they're not comms experts. They're not, you know, they're you know what I mean? Like, I don't see the point. I also think it's undisciplined. I mean, I don't think she did a bad job. I don't think they should be doing that, personally.
Times, that's the part that you didn't hear. 4 times voted to raise ICE funding, voted to thank ICE, in fact. So this is the same kind of DC hypocrisy, I hate to say it, that we often see. Say one thing in front of a camera, do another thing. I said that we need to abolish ICE. Yes. ICE is not about immigration. ICE is not about the southern border. We can have a safe and secure southern border. We can also enforce immigration policy. But ICE is not about that. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets.
Yes!
And I just want to push back on the idea that
what is this camera angle? What the fuck's going on?
I was just in Genesee County this weekend, and you had raids in Saginaw. People are scared to death, and we've got a congresswoman who tells you that she's against ICE, has voted to raise ICE funding, voted to thank ICE, called the people who work in ICE, I don't know, very fine public servants and other things when she went and visited herself. So I'm just saying that I do the thing that I say I'm going to do. I don't think ICE needs to exist. For the better part of our country's history, we did not have an ICE, and I think we can do a much better job when it comes to immigration without one. And here's the last thing I just want to say about this.
No notes.
When it comes to the question of immigration, we need Democrats who are going to stand up and actually talk about the great good that immigration has done for our country in the first place. The idea that somehow we can't say abolish ICE because we're so afraid of what they're going to say when we've seen ICE terrorize people in our streets, to me, is exactly the kind of cowardice that we don't need from Democrats. So I'm going to take the bullhorn, and I'm going to say that I think we need to abolish ICE because I am not afraid of what they're going to say about me.
Doctor, I do want to follow up, though, with both of you. Isn't saying abolish ICE like saying defund the police? Is that just busting the whole thing open? Or do you believe that in order to have enforcement, you need to have an agency that knows how to do it?
Yeah, well, I just also ran government agencies. And I know that when a culture of impunity sets into a government agency, it becomes almost impossible to take out. And so I think the agency as it exists does not need to exist. That's not to say that we are not going to keep our streets secure. That's not to say that we're not going to enforce immigration policy. That's not to say we shouldn't have a safe, secure southern border. The same way we did it for most of our history, Roop.
Yeah,
for most of our history, we didn't have ICE. We had INS. And they were targeted. Yes. They obeyed the laws of this land. They didn't terrorize people in places like schools.
It's not a real crime.
They didn't run up in schools and churches. They understood that their job, yes, was to enforce immigration policy, but they did it under the protection of the Constitution itself. And that's what we're losing here. You've got ICE agents who do not understand that the central law of this country is the Constitution itself. ICE has become a tyrannical agency, and I think there is no way to get past that.
Do you think misogyny might play a role in boosting Abdul over? No.
Okay, first of all, in a Democratic primary, it's better to be a woman. And before everybody's minds explode, Democratic primary, there is an advantage for being a woman. Now, there may be a disadvantage for being a woman in general, but I think it's pretty marginal. I think the advantage of being a woman in a Democratic primary is greater by a significant factor than the disadvantage of being a woman in general. I don't think people really have a problem voting for a woman to be a leader. I do think misogyny is everywhere. There's no doubt about it, and she certainly will be judged unfairly. But I don't think it is enough to like say that, you know, a woman can't win. I just think that, you know what I mean? Like whenever somebody says like a woman can't win or so and so can't win, that's just not. It's just nuts. It's a crazy position. It's a crazy position. Women have been governors. They have been senators. They've been congresspeople. They have been Supreme Court justices. They've been vice presidents. Like the idea that, oh, but not for president, that's just made up bullshit. And usually the reason people say that is they're opposed to the woman that is running, right? Like the only time people say misogyny means the woman can't win is when they're opposed to the woman running. You never see any liberals saying or centrists saying that a woman can't win Senate, right? You're not going like, I don't know, in a swing seat, I think we have to go with Abdul because he's not a woman. But you'll see those same people go, AOC can't win, misogyny. My grandma keeps saying this. It's because your grandma opposes AOC's politics, not because she legitimately thinks a woman can't win. And just, you know, when you're having a conversation with your grandmother, just be like, can you not do bad faith like things like that, which are based on your opinion. Like, talk about what your actual concerns are instead of diverting around some electability bullshit. We both know you don't believe that. We've had a woman vice president. We've had women senators, women congresswomen, women governors, women vice president. Please stop. Let's talk about what you're really talking about. Now, that's a very confrontational way of doing it, but I'm sorry. I don't like bullshit around me. Dispense with the bullshit.
From scratch.
It's a Democratic primary.
You have been on video.
My dumbass lib parents think Kamala lost because she's black and a woman. That's because they don't want to reflect on her actual campaign. If she lost because she's a black and a woman, then they don't have to learn anything. They don't have to do anything differently. They don't have to evaluate anything critically. They can give an external locus of control. It's a deflection from the hard work of actually doing politics. And it's a way of protecting the status quo. Again, your parents don't actually believe that. They're lying. And maybe they don't know they're lying. Maybe they've lied to themselves first. But that's the reality.
Saying on social media before about the fine people of ICE. Do you feel differently about that? Do you believe that both can be true, that there needs to be reform, but there are people working?
Oh my God!
Let me just be very clear. Complaints
you just got fact-checked by the Baltimore Maoists!
Solutions, all right? I went up to an ICE detention facility to call out and see why people were losing their lives.
Roop Raj, a real Baltimore Maoist.
Time without due
he
process.
critiques socialism to make it better.
An outrage. And look, a lot of you remember Abdul from when he first ran for governor in 2018. It didn't work out. So he started the podcast, he wrote the books, and now he's running for Senate. And he's
all she does is
for president.
Attack Abdul.
It's just another rung on the
ladder.
He's
too
That's
famous.
Not what this job is for me.
Not answering the question. Answer the question.
It's not about celebrity. This is about.
It's kind of remarkable how similar to a Republican her campaign is. It's almost like she's a Republican.
That Mike Rogers doesn't get
Mike Rogers! Abdul's famous! I got endorsed by Gretchen Whitmer! Say something direct!
For this state and for our values, for our rights and our freedoms. And I promise you, Michigan, I will make us shine.
You know what would be really cool? If we were able to get like a neutral third party, that would just be like, platitudinous fluff was 70% of that response. There was no substantive policy. No substantive policy. Did not answer the question. That would be really great. But obviously, we can't do that because, everybody will call it biased. But it is kind of exactly what happened. Also, that is the worst. Like, I am a bad smiler. I never, I don't know why, but I'm just a bad smiler. I never really learned how to smile, I guess. But goddamn, that is the worst fake smile I've ever seen. This is showing your teeth. Like, have you ever read in a book and she showed her teeth? That's what this is. It's like she showed her teeth and it did not touch her eyes. If you've ever read that in a book, now you know. Now you can picture it.
Dr. Al-Sayed, there are people watching this right now, and every time they hear this podcast business, they're scratching their heads. They're putting food on the table, gas in the tank. They're curious to know what that's about. Have you made a ton of money because of podcasts?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I told all the viewers at the outset that while my opponent was going to make this about me and her, I want to make this about you. Somehow she just really, you can listen to the podcast. It's there. Congresswoman, if you enjoy podcasts about public health, I welcome you to take a listen. You seem very concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the fact that people can't pay for their gas. They can't pay for their groceries. We're fighting a war that's cost us billions of dollars that has been pushed by the government of a foreign country, the same foreign country that the folks paying for your ads want us to send billions of dollars to. And that's the thing that I think Michiganders really want to understand. They're not that worried about the fact that I hosted a podcast. They're worried about the fact that right now, for a lot of folks, their kids go to schools that are unbecoming of their future. They are worried about the fact that they can't gas up their car because it costs, what, $4.50 a gallon? They're worried about the fact that the same corporations who funded your campaign are raising rates on the things that they can't go without, like their power. So I'd really like us to focus on the things that actually matter, which have nothing to do with the podcast, have everything to do with the future of Michiganders that we would like to serve.
Yeah, but it also is about transparency. And you have not released your full tax returns, $300,000 in other income while you sat in the podcast chair chair and you hawked junk healthcare cures that RFK Jr. would thumbs up. You talk about getting money out of politics and putting money in people's pockets, but still no one knows who's putting the money in your pocket. You know, I have been transparent and I am offering,
you have
real
not
plans to address the cost of living crisis,
we want to be able to
tackle Donald Trump's
and you're talking about what you did, but you also made some accusations here. Dr. El-Sayed, that is a question that some people may have that Congresswoman's talking about. Talk about the money and the financial disclosures. You were going to release some
We
today.
released all of our financial disclosures. Again, this is a distraction from the issues in your life.
But not
I'd love to talk about transparency. I really would. Because I want you to ask yourself, there is this group called the Center for Democratic Priorities. They didn't exist until they popped up and started running ads for my opponent. And then there's this other group called Center Forward that paid for a flight for the Congresswoman and her mother to go to Portugal. And they just released their donors, and then it's a whole bunch of shell 501c4 organizations. They're the folks who are literally putting money in.
My personal opinion is that the type of spending that we see, like, first of all, if somebody's being paid to post on social media and they don't disclose it, I think that should be a felony. If you're being paid to post by a campaign and you don't disclose it, or a super PAC, that should be a felony. That's number one. Number two, I think all these organizations should be illegal. If somebody is spending money in political communications, they should have that funding source should be fully transparent. In fact, I think it honestly should be banned.
In our pockets right now to try and mis and disinform us about this race. And here's the thing about it. None of it actually makes your life better. Think about the $60 million that got spent in this race. What could $60 million do for a community in Detroit? What could $60 million mean for erasing medical debt? I'll tell you, $6 billion it could erase. But they want to spend it to get the Congresswoman elected. Why? Because at the end of the day, they know that they're going to have a safe seat doing their bidding instead of yours. Every single dollar that DTE is spending is a down payment on knowing that they can raise your rates. Every single dollar that Blue Cross Blue Shield spends in this race is a down payment on
good. All right.
Every single dollar.
Thank you, Dr. El-Sayed. I want to ask some more questions from our audience at home right now. You're texting us. I got them right here. The next question is, how will you ensure low-income communities receive equitable...
Focus group reacts to Haley Stevens' answer on Israel.
Unite! Adequate education. You've heard so many people say Michigan ranks 44th when it comes to literacy for fourth graders. We'll start with Congresswoman Haley Stevens. What are you doing now? What do you plan to do should you become senator?
Well, we are certainly being robbed by Washington, D.C. and Donald Trump, who treats the Oval Office like a stock trade floor. This is why I want to end the corruption of seeing people who want to be celebrities or get famous or rich in office. I want to ban stock trading. Folks, I'm the only non-millionaire in this race. But let me tell you something about what I have worked on and what I am fighting for. Full funding for special education. You know, our public schools here in Michigan are getting the short end of the stick. And if we fully fund special education, we can meet the needs that a family in Royal Oak has talked to me about, where they feel torn.
Finally, she's talking about a policy. This is her first time, I think.
Special complex medical needs actually get the education they deserve.
She is falling apart. She feels frazzled. You can see it.
Not just reinstate the cuts that Donald Trump cut. We have got to expand these programs. And I consider myself a warrior for public education. And this is
how is Abdul El-Sayed a millionaire? I don't know if he is. But
and why I'm leading
his wife is a doctor. He was a doctor. He never actually became a practicing physician, but he had a podcast. He wrote books.
He was a first grade teacher.
Bro, he's a Rhodes Scholar. Of course he has a lot of money. What are we talking about?
Small business. And so I want to see more people go into that profession, go into
He's
our
worth like 1.7. That's broke boy, dude.
That is going to certainly solve a lot of problems for us.
Dr. El-Sayed, you heard the Congresswoman
Roop doesn't follow me. I checked.
Grant money. Is that part of the solution here? What do you think?
You know, you asked a really important question about education. I'd like to answer that question. I'm proud of the fact that the American Federation of Teachers has endorsed me in this race. And they've done it because I'm a proud product of public schools. I know what it's like to walk into a public school in Detroit in January. And kids are bundled up because the boiler's broken, trying to learn how to read. You talk about a literacy crisis. How do you learn how to read when you have to wear a coat in the middle of the day. We put glasses on kids' faces specifically because we knew that it doesn't matter what's happening on the blackboard if you can't see the blackboard. But we need to radically rethink how we do public education in this country. We are not invested nearly enough. I want to tie the support for public education through the Department of Education, which, by the way, needs not just to be brought back, but fully invested in. I want to tie that funding to the Department of Defense. So when they try to raise the Department of Defense budget, we're going to make sure we're invested in public schools too. I also think that the way that we have funded local education, specifically school buildings, has too often ported the historical racism of the past. Right now, we fund school buildings based on property tax. Property tax is a function of property value. Property value is a function of who's been able to live where as a function of redlining from the past. And when we say that that same process should be patterning the social mobility of the future through public schools, that's a real problem. But I just want to say this. I actually agree with the Congresswoman on one really critical thing. We are being robbed. The money that we should have to invest in our schools is being sent to foreign governments to destroy other people's schools instead of investing in our own. And that is exactly what AIPAC wants you to do and why they're spending so much money to get the Congresswoman elected.
Dr. Al-Sayed, Congresswoman, thank you so much. We have another text question, one of the many, many text questions. This one, I think, is important because, again, my main goal and our main goal at Fox 2, let's differentiate between the two of you. What are the big differences here? So what would you do on your first day in office? We'll begin with you, Dr. Al-Sayed. What would you do on your first day of office should you become senator?
Anybody who knows me knows that getting people health care is the passion of my life. I went to medical school only to realize that too often our health care system is part of the problem. We need and deserve guaranteed health care through Medicare for all. I have been thinking about this question. In fact, I've testified to the U.S. Senate twice. This wouldn't be my first time walking into the chamber. On Medicare for all, guaranteeing health care, on eliminating the medical debt in this country, $225 billion. Now, on Medicare for all, there is work that we're going to have to do. We're going to have to get a president elected who can do it in 2029. Now, in the process, though, I actually think that we could eliminate all the medical debt in this country, $225 billion. Just so you understand what that is the amount of the GDP of more than half of U.S. states in this country. So on day one, I want to offer medical debt relief to everybody I think we could get.
Also, the other thing is, like, we just increased the Pentagon. You can just be like, we just increased the Pentagon by $500 billion since Trump's first term. That is more than all medical debt. I think we should stop spending money on Israel and on the Pentagon and spend it here at home. I want to keep us safe, but our military doesn't need to be over the fucking seas. It should be here protecting our shores. We'll be fine. Canada and Mexico are not going to invade.
Bipartisan support to do it, and I'd love to get that done. And let's start working through Medicare for all, and then let's make sure that we can get money out of politics so the big pharmas and the big insurances of the world aren't in the way when it comes down to finally getting this done.
Like another line that I've been cooking lately is like to look at a centrist and say, if you elect her, she promises you nothing good will happen. And that's the one promise she'll keep.
For all Americans.
Congresswoman,
I believe better things are possible.
In a minute and a half, tell us what you do on your first day in office.
Yeah, day one, we have to stand up to the abuses of power. Take it from somebody who has been recognized as...
By the way, stand up, what's that mean? Are you saying prosecute Trump? Are you saying prosecute Hegseth? What does stand up do? They use these fucking phrases which are about you imagining things and fantasizing as opposed to actual concrete things they're going to do.
Our most effective lawmaker. When I tell you I'm going to go to the United States Senate and ban stock fighting for elected officials.
She's going to Tel Aviv.
Children, for our president and our vice president, and for candidates for those offices. I am going to get it done. I am sick and tired of seeing Donald Trump sell us out to the highest bidder, go cut deals with every other country except for cutting deals for us here in Michigan. We have been paying the price, and it is not acceptable. And speaking of prices, day one actions to lower costs and to invest in small businesses, minority-owned businesses right here in Michigan. Those are your tax dollars, and I believe in the effective stewardship of them so that they go back to our communities here, and I've got the receipts for that. I've got the proof points for that. And then lastly, we got to make sure that the jobs of the future are coming from the place that we all love to call home, which is why my manufacturing agenda on day one will also be in the hopper. I got all the bills ready to go, Roop.
We have 30 seconds left for each of you to answer the following question. What makes you think you're the formidable candidate who can take on Mike Rogers? 30 seconds, Dr. Al-Sayed.
Well, poll after poll after poll has shown, despite what my colleague says, that I am the most competitive candidate to take on Mike Rogers. But it's also this, that you've got to have something you're fighting for. Ask yourself, if DTE funds both Mike Rogers and Haley Stevens, who wins? DTE wins. And Blue Cross and Big Pharma and Big Tech and APAC, all funded by the same people. We need a choice. I'm the only candidate in this race who does not take corporate money. And so I offer a real contrast to a guy who has never seen a corporate dollar he did not want.
Congresswoman Haley Stevens, 30 seconds.
Well, look, Governor Whitmer, Attorney General Nessel, the chair of the Michigan Legislative Black Caucus, Amos O'Neill, they all agree that I will be Michigan's workhorse, that I will stand up for us on day one, that I will beat Mike Rogers just like I have beat Republicans 4 times over.
Thank you so much. Congresswoman Haley Stevens, Dr. Al-Sayed, the vote is now in the people's hands, a week away. A
That's crazy. Abdul says I'm going to be a real fighter.
Yes, it's local, but
my opposition is funded by Mike Rogers and Haley Stevens is funded by the same people. They don't care who wins. This makes her less electable. She goes, I'm a workhorse, and I got Dana Nessel, the Attorney General's endorsement. I'm just curious if she has the receipts. Yeah, I have the receipts. Okay, that was an incredibly impressive showing. That was an unbelievably impressive showing. Tremendous messaging discipline. It was unique. It was multifaceted lines of attack. Obviously, Haley Stevens is a target-rich environment, if we're being real. But God did Abdul cook. Holy shit.
Abdul absolutely fucking cooked her. And honestly, like, you know, I try not to be in my own mental bubble, right? I try not to cope, right? But I think Haley Stevens is a fucking dud. But the thing is, I'm not a boomer. Like, as old as I am, I just don't look at politics like boomers do. Boomers like meaningless pablum. I don't know what it is. They just love meaningless pablum that has no, you know, they like to imagine shit. So I don't, you know, it's hard for me to say that, like, she landed a single blow. They love Obama. Yeah, that's the thing. They love Obama. I mean, even young people love Obama. What do you think the fallout is going to be when AIPAC loses a race by 15 points? Well, I haven't seen any data yet. I haven't seen any, like, head-to-heads in a while. Are there any head-to-heads that have come out? I know you're well read. When's the last time you heard a Democrat in office mention redlining? It happens. It happens regularly.
He might as well just drop the doctor and call himself the chef, baby, because he was chopping that shit up and down the block. Oh, my God.
All right, let's go into the reaction rooms.
I'll tell you what, you reach out to our office, we'll be happy to give it to you. I think this is all a distraction from the question of who are all the 501c4s that have funded Center Forward? Who are all the funders behind the Center for Democratic Priorities? Now, to say that somehow my tax return is more important to the voters in the state than the $60 million that have been spent in this race on ads, most of them attacking me at this point, I think is missing the boat. So happy to release everything. We released all of our personal financials. I'm not hiding anything. The question is, what's the Congresswoman hiding about the people who are actively funding her campaign? We're getting outspent in this race 12 to 1. I don't think people really quite appreciate what that means. 12 to 1. All money funded through super PACs, which is exactly what the ending of Citizens United is supposed to do. Now, when you can say you really want to get money out of politics or you want to end Citizens United, but then you are the principal benefactor of Citizens United, that to me seems just to be a little bit more of the hypocrisy that we've seen.
We're taking large.
I'll tell you this: my father-in-law does not want to send your tax dollars to the Israeli military to do genocide. I'll tell you that much. And also, again, 12 to 1, 12 to 1, like. The difference matters here, and most of any outside funding has come from, right, Working Families Party, UAW, American Federation of Teachers, National Nurses United. I've never taken a dollar from a corporation. She's hiding all the corporate dollars she's taken, or lying about it, frankly, that you all saw. DTE, $47,500 in this race, and frankly said, no, I haven't taken it. That, I mean, if you can lie about that straight up in front of a studio audience, and like national television viewers, what else are you lying about? And so I'd love to have a conversation about transparency, love to have a conversation about funding campaigns, love to have a conversation about why she's taking money from all of the worst corporate actors. So Chevron, Exxon, DTE, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Big Pharma, Big Tech, APAC. Who else? And then why did you and your mom have to go to Portugal? Like, that's the important question. We want to talk about family members, right? Like, why do you take your mom to Portugal? Like, did she have to get spun by the same corporations trying to spin you on policy so that, like, on
free
the way
vacation,
home, the mom could spin you? I don't understand. Like, is this how it's supposed to be done? Is this how, like, when you go to DC, is that how they teach you you're supposed to operate? Because I'm not trying to operate that way. And I think it's important for voters out there to understand just how corrupting the corporate money has become. When they're flying you out to Portugal to talk to you about big pharma policy or big tech policy, when you come back, you're not doing the goods for Michiganders, you're doing the goods for those companies.
How do you plan on vote convention in November?
The state capitol convention in November. I have to be honest with you, like, that's an interesting, I think you're the first journalist to ask me. I'm gonna say no at this point. I'm vote against it. But you know, I do think that we're due up for some updates, particularly at the federal level, right? I mean, so many of the problems in our governance at the federal level right now are, we need to be rethinking them, whether it's the Electoral College, whether it's Senate rules like the filibuster, or whether it's the way the Supreme Court has become so riggable. You know, life terms at the Supreme Court. I think a lot of these questions need to be rethought.
Do you want to respond to the podcast?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't, and you know, I don't know specifically what's being alleged here, but we were very, very specific, not in any of our reads to make health cures. It's interesting to me how much of this debate, the word podcast, which is wild to me because I don't think podcasts have anything to do with the ability to afford your gas or your groceries. I don't think podcasts have anything to do with whether or not your kid goes to a good school. I don't think podcasts have anything to do with the onslaught of corporate money that we keep getting fed into our eyeballs on television every single time you turn on a TV. And so, you know, I don't know why the Congresswoman is so angry at podcast hosts, but they're not the reason you can't afford your groceries. Or ever believe you could own a home.
Haley's several times.
So that's part of the reason why Haley is not doing that.
Who do you think's going to win?
Holy
and
shit.
Also, who won tonight's Democratic debate? We have a poll question for you.
The Hassanabi heads have broken the poll. The Hassanabi heads have broken the poll.
You right now so that we can hear your thoughts and see what you think.
Dude,
was
okay,
it
look.
Congresswoman Haley Stevens,
Polls are obviously
or was
fucking
it Dr.
internet polls are
Abdul
bullshit,
El
but
Sayed
god
that won
damn.
tonight's debate?
I worked with Abdul at Crooked Media. He was super ethical about podcast ads and would decline the ones who are sketchy. SIGs for Kids. I worked with Abdul at Crooked Media and your name is SIGs for Kids? All right, SIGs for Kids. Get me on Pod Save America then. Call up your Pod Save America folks and be like, bring on Mike from PA. He's a controversial streamer allied with Hassan who represents the actual far left. But yes, of course he's ethical. What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
thank you for your insight.
I file with my wife. So if you count
They
all of our joint
responded?
assets, maybe.
Oh, they did?
Congresswoman, I know, files alone.
You want to be
And
on
so
with
you're
the
not
Pod
comparing
Johns?
apples to apples at that point.
Yeah. There's nothing that would make me happier than going on with the Pod John. There's nothing that would make me happier than going on with the Pod Johns. There is a 0% chance they would make the episode public.
I know it's a convenient slogan and AIPAC wants to pay to put it on TV, but we're not comparing apples to apples. The question also has less to do with my personal finances and a lot more to do with the personal finances of the CEOs whose corporations she takes money from. I'd like to know how many billionaires made their billions off of votes that she's taken. Right? I'd like to, when we talk about millions of dollars, why $60 million in this race? I'm happy to talk about finances, but the finances that matter for most folks in this state are the finances that they're worried about, that are being nickeled and dimed because of the deals that too many corrupted politicians make as a function of the corporate money that they take. DTE, I'd like to talk about how much does a DTE CEO make? You guys know? Probably 10 million, something like that. So when you take money from DTE, and the question is, are you going to regulate on DTE? What's the answer there? Yeah, you can write a bill and pretend like you're doing something about the problem, but what do you actually want to do when you take $47,500 and then are willing to lie about it in front of the world in the most watched debate in the country? Just frank lie, like in your face lie. No. No corporate money.
That's the difference.
I don't take corporate money. I've always been clear. I don't take corporate money. And if you're angry because AFT and the National Nurses United are supporting.
Mike would have already been banned from this chat if he were just a chatter. I don't think that's true, because the thing that pisses me off is not people disagreeing with me. What pisses me off is people not being able to make arguments that are logically consistent. There are a lot of chatters who argue with me all the time who have been here for years, but they at least try to make arguments. They at least make a point, you know? So I believe that I do that. Like I have sent literally thousands of chats into Hassan's chat. I know how to act like a chatter and be highly substantive and make arguments. So like, that's not true. I only ban people that are dumb, loud, and annoying, which I'm loud and annoying, but not dumb.
Campaign, that's like what unions do.
to push back on the corporations. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we take individual contributions, certainly, but
Again, you're allowed to be loud and annoying. You're not to be loud and dumb, but you can't be annoying, loud, and dumb.
Coordinating with any PAC, you know that's illegal when you ask. But also, let's just talk a little bit about scale here. How much are we being outspent, do you know? 12 to 1. No, answer the question. It's 12 to 1, 12 to 1, 12 to 1. So when you're talking about 12 to 1, like, let's actually talk about the amount of money that we've seen. And Michiganders are seeing it. Ad after ad after ad after ad. So if you want to say that the National Nurses United is somehow the same thing as APAC, I don't take that serious.
Congress was later. The question was specifically about.
So in other words, she took money, so she lied blatantly.
So de facto, when somebody gives you money and then you take that money and put it into your Senate campaign, then the answer is you have taken money into your Senate campaign. I think the actual answer is yes. Like, the truth of the matter is, so she has a congressional campaign. Somebody takes a bunch of money and puts it in her congressional campaign, and then she takes the congressional campaign money and puts it into her Senate campaign, then by definition, she's taken it. And it's also really interesting, did she on purpose?
How is this a question? How the fuck is this a question? Oh, see, you know, you put the bribe in my left pocket, but I moved it to my right pocket before I spent it. So it's not a bribe. Only money that you spent out of your left pocket is bribe money. What the fuck are you talking about?
The month before, so that she could answer that answer no. At the end of the day, throughout her career, she's taken oodles and oodles of DTE money.
It's literally a question because media is thoughtless. Like, this is why people don't watch mainstream media anymore. This is why it's dying. It's dying because it's not that they're biased, which of course they are. It's that they're literally insulting to your intelligence. It causes you psychic damage to listen to this shit. It's like, well, she got the money 1 month before she filed in her congressional campaign that was transferred to her Senate campaign, so therefore she didn't get it directly into her Senate campaign. As like that's a distinction without a difference. In fact, the media should be exposing that as a lie. That's their job. Their job is to say, she lied to you. She took this money and she did this accounting trick to try to spin a lie. She's dishonest. She's bought. That's what they're for. But they can't do that.
So, like, part of me says, well, yeah, if you want a senator who's going to stand up to DTE, that's probably not it, right? That's what people are asking. The technicality of the money is a secondary thing to, are you bought off by the corporation? And the answer is yes. So when you take their money at all, at some point, you probably have a cozy relationship with their PAC. You have a cozy relationship with their lobbyist. And when that lobbyist says, here's the bill we really want, that's probably the bill they get. And guess what happens to the rest of us? We end up paying, what, $3.99 to pay our DTE bill with a credit card? We've had our DTE rates go up faster than in 46 other states over 20 years. That's what that buys you. There's not, I mean, we pretend somehow that, like, oh, it's just money and people are fully independent. Well, why do they spend it then? I mean, money is cynical, but it's not dumb. So they spend their money to buy off politicians so that those politicians turn around and do their bidding. And it's the reason we end up paying more for less. It's the reason we get paid less for more. And it's the reason that our politics feel so corrupted. I've been super clear about the fact that we got to beat Mike Rogers. So yes, you guys keep asking me the same question.
What did you make of the comments from Congresswoman about the tone that's about?
You know, the tone that people are hearing, most of all, is the tone that's being brought to them by UDP, APAC, running attack ads on my character because I wrote an op-ed 15 years ago. Or I ran against the governor and said that she was taking money from Blue Cross Blue Shield. So, like, let's talk about the tone of the campaign. I've told my supporters multiple times not to make fun of her. I don't know what else you would want from a candidate. I've literally said, do not make fun of her. It's unkind. I've said it multiple times, but I've heard nothing. Even when the question of civility came up, you heard it today. The question of civility came up and she used it to attack me. So I'm just saying that, like, where is the incivility coming from? When you ask a super PAC that wants to take our tax dollars and send them somewhere else to kill women and children, and then in the most cynical way, put $10 million, $15 million behind attack ads saying I'm somehow disrespectful to women. Where's the disrespect to women? Or are we saying that the lives of some people don't matter enough? Because the lives of the people I'm worried about are the people who are not able to afford basic things, good schools, functional infrastructure, healthcare, whose money is being sent somewhere else because people like Haley Stevens vote to do it. Why? Because they take money from the exact people who want that done. That's how this process works. And it's the thing I think most people are just sick and tired of about Washington, D.C. It's the thing I'm running to fix. I'm running on three things: money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all. Until we get the money out of politics, you're going to continue to see people lying to your face about the money that they take and then doing the bidding for the corporations who are nickel and diming us at every turn. I don't take their money for a reason, because I don't want to be bought off by them, because I want to work for people.
Because the Congresswoman is to get your personal on this campaign trail, just a second.
Or the fact that I'm a podcast host, right?
Just a sec.
Guys, don't ever host a podcast. It's like a terrible idea. All right. I mean, I know you guys are journalists.
Is there any money in podcasting?
I mean, you tell me, man. You're journalists, right? You're journalists. Like, just don't host the podcast, because then some.
Professor Dave released a 2-hour video on Destiny loving Israel. Oh my God. Destiny loves genocide. Oh no. Oh my God. Wow. That's not an expected video. Anyway, let's keep going.
Surprising politician come after you. Like, I mean, it'd be an awful.
This is funny because Professor Dave is a centrist lib. Yes, because we won. You understand that, right? Like, as I was explaining earlier to you when we were getting those questions about AIPAC from the reporter, everyone normal thinks Israel's evil. The only people who don't are Republican freaks that are like evangelical Zionists and far right is, Jewish Israeli Zionists. Like, everyone normal, the 70% of people that are normal hate Israel. Only the 30% hardcore fascist Trump cult like Israel at this point. So even centrist libs who 2.5 years ago might have been like Mike from PA and Hassan are supporting terrorism are now all speaking out. Everyone's pro-Palestine now. So it doesn't matter. Oh, and I'm learning that Professor Dave has been pro-Palestine because his wife is Palestine. Okay, that makes sense. But I'm just saying, like, co-workers dislike Israel now. You don't have to hide being anti-Israel. Everybody knows that, right? Like, you could go into a party and assume that everyone's anti-Israel. Like, you don't have to pretend. It's not like a controversial opinion.
Thing. If you actually spent time, I don't know, educating people about public health like our podcast did, that's a terrible, terrible thing, I'm sure.
But what would you say is the highest valued asset in your?
I don't know. Like, I don't sit here and think about it. And I'll just tell you that, like, people are going to pay attention to, like, just properties that literally my wife's family inherited and then put in their and all of their kids' names and then sold. And people are out here being like, oh, well. And I wonder why they're so focused on foreign properties with somebody with a name like mine. Do you think it might fit within a well-worn trope? I don't know. I'll let you guys make that consideration.
Why are people so angry? You said that at the debate when they booed her, it had nothing to do. There were a lot of that.
No, listen, we told our supporters straight up, we don't boo anyone. And as soon as it happened, I called the congressman.
I boo, you're telling me not to boo. I'll boo whoever the fuck I want to boo. Boo.
I told her that was unkind. And our people were under very, very, very strict directions. We are not going to be unkind to anybody because this is a campaign about hope in the future. I think what you saw is a deep well of frustration at a...
Listen, like, I get it. Like, we want to do the Zoran Happy Warrior, and we want to do the big tooth smile of AOC, and we want that positive energy, positive vibes. I get it. But it's not for me. All right? Like, I'm not that guy. I'm mad about the state of the world, and I think you should be too. So, smiling to me, being all happy all the time, feels like you're over-medicated or you're very privileged. It's just how it feels to me. Like, how are you so fucking smiley 100% of the time? It's crazy. Have you seen what's going on out there? I don't vibe with that, but I like the policy, so I'm with you. But you can't tell me not to be angry.
Congressperson who's willing to get up and lie to you, who's not willing to answer.
The Dems can't lose after this, right? And yes, Hassan made us watch the whole thing. I unironically think this is a bar.
Like a small boat on the ocean.
Like, this is so 2016 in the purest way. Unironically a bar.
Your basic questions. Who doesn't actually want to talk about the things that people want to talk about? And I think that's what you saw. Now look, I don't think that's kind. I don't think that's how we should do politics. I have told my supporters, do not make fun of the Congresswoman, because that's not helpful. We keep it on issues. We talk about issues. Now, I'm just saying.
Stream flew by today, huh? Like, what the hell? I can't believe we're already 4 hours in. What happened? Just having a blast.
I told you at the front of this debate that my opponent was going to talk about me and talk about her. And I was going to talk about the people. And at every turn, every single question, was an opportunity for her to take a dig at me, was an opportunity for her to take a dig at the fact that I hosted a podcast, was her an opportunity to take a dig because I like write books. I didn't know that was a problem, right? But apparently we don't want a senator who communicates with the public, and we don't want a senator who writes books about the things that they actually want to get done. Like that's somehow an attack. I just think that at some point, like you're seeing a campaign flail in real time. And we built this campaign from the ground up. I've been to 475 public events, the kind where we answer questions. Sam, you've been to a lot of them. You know that when the hands go up, I don't pick. I'm just like, hey, whoever it is, got questions, I got answers. Because I'm not afraid of the voters. I try to be transparent about what I run on, what I believe in. When the questions were asked today, I answered policy solutions, not attacking my opponent. But you know, at the end of the day, like this has just been the most cynical campaign. When you ask $60 million coming in from all the folks who want to corrupt our politics to come in here and buy a US Senate seat and then have the audacity to say that somehow you're the most electable, I'm so sorry, like electability doesn't need a $60 million crutch. Like if you need $60 million to get out the primary yourself, and I want everybody here to ask, do you think that $60 million materializes in the general election? Because here's the thing, who's paying for it? Well, we don't know, number one, but big pharma, big tech, DTE, Blue Cross, and guess what? Who else are they funding? Mike Rogers. So they don't care which one of them win. So you're going to see $60 million come in here in a primary. And if they can eke it out that, guess what? All that money that was the crutch is gone in the general. Now we're supposed to talk about electability. I always believed that democracy was about government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Actually inspiring people to come out to be a part of a politics they believe in. Now, you know, I didn't know holding big rallies was a problem, but I would think that that's actually a good asset in politics. When you can get 3,000 people in Grand Rapids to show up for a rally, that's a good thing. Because if they're willing to come
yeah, no, I mean, as I said before, whenever somebody's complaining about the politician being too popular, it's a fucking rap. It's a fucking rap. When they're like, oh my God, you're such a celebrity, you're so popular. It's like, yeah. Yeah, that's a rap.
Rally, guess what else they're willing to do? Go out and vote and knock doors and phone bank. So I just want government to actually work. Now ask yourself this, the last point I'll make. Imagine there was no outside spending in this race. None. Would we be having a conversation about an even competitive race? Imagine there was none. I'd be happy to have no outside spending at all on my behalf if it meant that $60 million wasn't spent against us. What would this race be? And then you have the audacity to say you're electable? Come on, let's get serious.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. And like, you know, obviously everything has gone as I've foreseen in this race. Like I told you Mallory McMorrow would drop out. I told you all these centrists would endorse. I'm just waiting for the Mallory McMorrow endorsement. Has she endorsed Stevens yet? Or is she mad that she lost? She's in Hutch's Discord malding. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I think I have a Hutch. I had a clip of Hutch that I wanted to laugh at. God, they're so fucking dumb. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. They're so dumb and pathetic in like an embarrassing way. In an embarrassing fucking way. Oh, big get for Will Lawrence. Claire endorsed him. God, I'm so excited, chat. By the way, if you're Wisconsin, I'm coming out. I've decided I'm leaving. I'm leaving the studio. I'm going to the Wisconsin Francesca victory party. Most likely going to be in Madison. Wherever Fran is where I'm going to be. We're going out to Wisconsin. Okay? Because if there's one campaign that I consider to be the Mike from PA like campaign, it's Francesca Hong's. She is the one that we have supported the most. We were here from the beginning. We were the first ones to believe. We've been involved in the sewer socialism of Wisconsin for years and years and years. This is literally our baby, okay? Or at least we were a kernel of many other kernels. We were the day one race for us. So if there's any race that I would ever show up for, this is the one. Her face while you say this. Yeah, I know. She defended me. She defended me yesterday. Speaking of defending people. So
Fox News.
David PAKMAN is a fucking worm. As I've been saying for years, another example of Mike was right. I always hated David PAKMAN. Challenged him to a debate years ago. He was like, I don't know who that is, right? Cowardly ass. And he did the thing where he pretended not to know my name, like he pretended not to know AIPAC. It was about as believable. And he's now been going on a tour trying to shit his little diaper about Hassan. I can't find the Hutch clip. I don't know where it is.
is really going, all hands on deck here about the greatest threat that this country faces. And
all right, before we go, let's make fun of Destiny a little bit. Mike was right. Prepare yourself with Mike is right. Because I've been saying for years now that Destiny would be a Republican by the end of Trump's second term. And this is something that a lot of people have been like, it was the easiest call of my life. What the fuck? Where is it? The easiest call of my life. I don't know. I can't find this tweet I made. What the fuck is going on? Oh, here we go. This is Destiny talking about a race between AOC and JD Vance.
I think that you should have said yesterday when Pisco moved it on you, JD Vance or AOC. I think that that's a pretty easy answer.
The thing is I don't actually know that. Like, in a vacuum with no political influence, I don't know what JD Vance's political opinions are. Like, the guy.
Okay, so you're a professional, so-called political commentator who doesn't know the political positions of JD Vance, the vice president of Donald Trump, and former Republican senator who bought his position from getting infinite money from Peter Thiel. You don't know who JD Vance? You don't know JD Vance's politics? Who listens to this absolute fucking moron? Here is Netanyahu with Trump and Vance today.
Pisco moved it on you. JD Vance or AOC? I think that that's a pretty easy answer.
The thing is I don't actually know that. Like, in a vacuum with no political influence, I don't know what JD Vance's political opinions are. Like, the guy was a more moderate Republican type person. But the problem is JD Vance, like AOC, seems to have no capacity to deal with his own side, right? And that he's fully bought on to co-signing whatever crazy dick sucking shit Trump needs. So I mean, like, it's not like I would trust, even if Vance was more moderate, I don't know if I would trust him to govern more moderately if there were extremist voices in his camp. I also don't know how much he is actually.
Can we just say, like, the phrase moderate is a thought terminating cliche for people with low IQs? Like, moderate is a relative term, right? Like, you could say that the sun has a moderate temperature of its corona compared to other suns, right? As a main sequence star, the temperature in the corona of Sol is very relatively moderate. But then if I took that temperature and say put it inside your gut, you would melt and explode, right? Moderate is relative. So what the fuck are you talking about moderate? It doesn't mean anything.
Actually, like a crazy fucking crypto loony fuck after getting brainwashed and mind fucked by Peter Thiel and everything. So he might be like, that might just be like way too far fucking gone. But I don't know for AOC. Like, I just don't know with any of these people now. Like, given your opportunity to like abolish all private enterprise, and if the people backing you were for it, I don't know what her answer would be there. I'm not sure. I don't know at this point. I'm not sure.
Okay, I think one of the things that is really interesting about Destiny in particular is he's incredibly stupid in kind of a really fundamental way, where AOC has very openly talked about her ideology, and so has Bernie. And as far as like the transition to socialism, let's talk about the horizon of what we're talking about. We're talking about Meidner plan, transitionary forms of subsidization of worker co-ops and state enterprise and things like that. We're not talking about a command economy. All right. Now, when I say Meidner plan, that probably doesn't mean anything to a lot of you. I don't expect it would mean a lot to many people who call themselves socialists, because that requires you to be a real wonk and read about economic policy, which who has time for that? Who the fuck has time for that? And it's not even really the core of what we're talking about. We are talking about a rejuvenation of what? Trade union politics and social democratic reforms in order to facilitate the transition to a post-capitalist economy as new technologies are developed and post-scarcity is achieved, right? To prevent rentier capitalism, prevent, drone surveillance, authoritarianist fascism, right? So AOC is fundamentally talking about something that is tangible, concrete, and would be objectively, according to all political science, enhancing of human flourishing, both here and abroad. There's not one policy that she's saying which involved, some sort of like communistic social revolution that involves, you know, mass killing or anything like that. Because that's not the conditions that we're in. Employee ownership, democratization of the commodity of the economy, decommodification of necessities, minimum basic services, ensuring, you know, increasing equality, addressing climate change, protecting privacy, like real concrete policies. But again, he's too stupid to know what I'm fucking talking about. He's subhuman. He's a dummy. Whereas JD Vance is literally getting bribed by Peter Thiel, by the surveillance capitalists. They're trying to ban protesting the ICE. They want to ban, you know, mainstream political organizations. They want to investigate Democracy Now! And Breakthrough News and DSA. And they're certainly not going to stop with democratic socialist groups. They're also targeting the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a mainline liberal organization. They're targeting groups like the AFL-CIO or the ACLU. All these mainstream social liberal organizations or trade unionist organizations are all being targeted. They're going after the leader of the UAW, Sean Fain. You're a dummy, Destiny. You don't know anything. You're a piece of shit.
But the problem is that since these people
I'm willing to
haven't
take my chances with AOC.
Sure. I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, like, I probably would, but it's a coin flip. It's not like
Mike,
a 90-10. That's like a 55-45.
In my humble opinion, Mike from PA is anti-Semitic. Oh, here, let me help you. Let me give you a permanent ban here. For context, I'm a pro FRAN. I don't care. Go fuck yourself.
The problem is when nobody has the ability to say no to anything, I just have to look and see who's around you that's going to be pushing you into shit, because I'm just going to have to assume that you're going to go along with the crazy motherfuckers on your side, because apparently nobody can say no.
I think my main response to you would be, I think Zionism should be a criminal offense. And I think people like you should probably be arrested for supporting an Israeli genocide. That's my position on that. I think like advocating for genocide and spreading misinformation and disinformation around prominent pro-Palestinian creators in the context of a genocide should be a criminal offense. Anyway, back to why Destiny is a fucking worm. My prediction that Destiny would be a Republican by the end of the second Trump term is right on schedule. It's also very funny he attacks a book when he admitted he hadn't read a single book ever until 6 months ago when he skimmed his first. What's up? Why are you showing me derpy pictures of sticks? I'm looking. He's behind you. Okay, thank you for that. Mike, I called you anti-Semitic, and now I'm coming for you to explain to me how the idea of a settler colonialism is a bad idea. I don't understand why you could think settler colonialism is a bad idea in the context of a genocide. The other thing is, like, it's not like it's hard to do research. I have a video on my YouTube that extensively talks about why I feel like that comment doesn't reflect my views, why I oppose anti-Semitism, what I was trying to say, and why I have to hold myself to a higher standard of the way I present my arguments, and I need to not be lazy or, you know, and if I ever make a mistake like that, I want people to quickly call me out in the moment so we can clarify when I misspeak. And it's like, oh, guys, I want you to, shut the fuck up. You don't actually care about anti-Semitism. I mean, honestly, get the fuck out of here. You're lucky you only got 7 days in Hassan's. Hopefully they make it permanent.
Oh, I do think...
What else was I saying?
That you should have said yes.
All right, where was I? Yes. Here's Hassan's response.
On that show, the Mike from PA show, had you known about his comments about Jewish people? Like, would you...
By the way, comments about Jewish people, implying that I make multiple comments about Jewish people, when the reality was only the idea of the Benjamin Netanyahu Israeli identity was like the settler colonial idea was objectionable, right? Because in Israel, you're not allowed to say you're Israeli. You're not allowed to have nationality. There is no secular nationality in Israel. You're either Jewish, Arab, Druze, or some other identity. You're not allowed to say I'm a secular Israeli. You have to racially identify yourself. Did you know that, chat? It's illegal to call yourself Israeli in Israel. Let me see here. Israeli ban on passports. Get these searches to actually work. Oh my God. Why are we talking about bans? I'm not. Oh my God. No secular Israeli identity on passport. Jesus, search is impossible now. All right, there you go. The Supreme Court. There you go. Jesus, we found it. Israelis don't exist. There are those who have tried to attain recognition of their nationality Israeli, but those who have tried received the standard answer from the Ministry of Interior that it was decided not to recognize an Israeli nationality. You're not allowed to have a secular identity. Okay, this is like, what other sources do we have? There it is. Thank you. Fuck me. Israeli court rejects Israeli nationality, saying it could undermine Jewish character. I think that's bad. I think you should have a settler state. Excuse me, you should have a settler state that has one ethnicity dominating the others. That's what I was objecting to. And I think fundamentally, like, all of this stuff, whether it is a bad, like, what are they trying to achieve here? What they're trying to do is distract you from what we were really talking about, which is the way that Palestinians are fundamentally discriminated against in an apartheid way, and how that is objectionable. The idea of an ethno-state is objectionable, where they have supremacy over other ethnicities and other religions. That idea itself is fundamentally unacceptable for a human being with conscience. That's what I object to. Not Jewish people, not denying that Jewish is an ethno-religion. It's all nonsense.
Would you go again?
I was not aware of the comments, and I do know that Mike has apologized for those comments. We need additional context.
Yeah, I hate the soundbite shit. I hate the soundbite shit. It's like, if someone genuinely feels this way, like if someone has legitimate hatred, legitimate Jew hatred in their heart, in their commentary, in their advocacy, you can't, it's not going to be like one thing that you caught, okay? Like, it's not going to like accidentally it slipped out, okay? Like, that's not how this works. We talk for hours and hours and hours a day, right? Here we go again. No, it's just fucking ridiculous. I find it fucking ridiculous. Like, the reason why we say Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi is not because he one time accidentally slipped up or something. It's because he consistently makes Jew hatred a primary focus of his advocacy. That's not how this works. Okay, the one time someone actually misspeaks, or the one time someone is like, instead of saying Zionism, says like Judaism is a religion or whatever the fuck, right? Like, it is very obviously a ridiculous argument that you're trying to fucking lean in.
So you understand how I was going like, wow, that's weird how you're trying to create this new identity of Jewish, as opposed to recognizing as an ethnicity in the settler state, as opposed to Ashkenazi or Sephardic or Beta Israel or Mizrahi, right? Like, all the different ethnicities that form the ethno-religion of Judaism, right? Or the way that Beta Israelis are discriminated against in Israel because of the color of their skin, right? That is a conversation that I want to have. And I object to a settler identity that is, patterned on whiteness, that is about supremacy and exclusion. That, I think, is a bad idea. And, if you're going to call that anti-Semitism, then any criticism of supremacy in their mind is anti-Semitic.
Right? Like, we have to be a little bit more adult about this stuff. It's very frustrating. I know in a clip culture universe that we exist in, where we're just like, oh, well, there you go. That clip looks bad. It's fucking bullshit. And it's not even just Mike. It's just myself. It's every single person. We do this to every single person. I don't like it. I don't like it because it's insincere. I don't like it because that's not how human beings operate. Right? It's just bullshit. Like, oh, it's spoiled. This person is ruined now. They're impure. They're unclean. And the side that is, the thing that is very frustrating about this attitude in general, this is not even a defense of like what Mike has said. He's apologized for it. But the thing that's frustrating to me about this is like, this is a problem for liberals too. Because our opposition broadly, if we are against the Republican Party, if we are anti-fascist, if we are the oppositional forces, whether we disagree with one another ideologically or not, doesn't matter. If we are opposing fascism, Trumpism, MAGA, reactionary thought, we have to recognize that our opposition does not play by these rules. They do not play by these rules at all. They just say, who gives a shit? Suck my dick. Yeah, I said what I said, and move on. And that is an unnecessary weapon, an unnecessary point of leverage that we give our opposition. Okay.
Now, here's the thing. The reason why I apologized and took that seriously is because I don't want people to think that I tolerate anti-Semitism and the way, and I don't think the clip represents what I believe. It's out of context. It's wrong. It's a bad, it's a bad segment where I was inarticulate, where my mind was obviously elsewhere, and I put out something that doesn't represent what I believe. So I apologize because I have to be better than that. As a pro-Palestinian advocate and a major democratic socialist, I cannot make slip-ups ever. But the idea that it represents that I'm anti-Semitic is a sign that a person is operating in bad faith. They're trying to discredit everything I'm saying based on something that doesn't represent what I believe. Meanwhile, these same people will cozy up to Nick Fuentes or Richard Hayania or whatever his fucking name is, or Richard Spencer, like actual neo-Nazis that have Zig Heiled. They get a hell of a lot less smoke than myself, Hassan, Frogan, Denims, etc.
Okay? It's very frustrating. Republicans don't apologize. They double down. Liberals, on the other hand, create this like false sense of moral purity around choice quotes. They create this false sense of perfection that doesn't exist in the real world. Okay? It does not exist in the real world. And the same thing goes for disagreements. I mean, this is leftist purity as well. Leftist purity politics is toxic. I oppose it. I yell about it all the time. What do I always say? You're not going to agree with every single thing that I say. It's just not going to happen. Think about loved ones that you have in your life. Do you agree with every single thought? Do you agree with every single take? Do you agree with everything that they've said throughout their lives? Of course not. Of course not. That's not how the world works.
As Ed Koch said, the former mayor of New York City, if you agree with 9 out of 12 things I say, then vote for me. Or in this case, subscribe to me. Watch me. If you agree with 12 out of 12 things I say, go to a psychiatrist, right? You're not going to agree with every single word that comes out of my mouth. And if you do, honestly, that's based. And don't go to the psychiatrist. Double down. But anyway, you get my point. It's like, this is something that happens because, like, how do I put this? It's a social media strategy. Let's just do numbers. Let's just do numbers, okay? Let's say that Hassan has 30,000 viewers. 30,000 viewers. And he has a take that has a little bit of controversy. And 2/3 of his audience agrees and 1/3 of his audience doesn't agree. If you can stand up and go, I represent the Hassan viewer who disagrees with Hassan on this issue. If you agree with me that Hassan is wrong on this, come and watch me. It's a social media strategy. Suddenly, 10,000 people who would never give a shit, the 10,000 of people that wouldn't give a shit, now suddenly, because they felt a certain type of way by disagreeing with Hassan, now suddenly you're advertising yourself as their tribune, the tribune of the dissent, right? And you profit. You get to associate yourself with Hassan in the algorithm. You have a pre-packaged audience that is waiting to agree with you, and you can absorb some of this energy. And if you could get 10% of that group, that's 1,000 people. How many streamers do you know have 1,000 viewers? How many people do you know have 1,000 viewers? So by presenting yourself as the purest version of the dissent from Hassan, you go from zero and irrelevant to a top 1,000 streamer, top 2,000 streamer. Do you understand the incentives of social media to create these kind of splinters and these factions and these, because you go from being irrelevant to now a possible career. And I got to tell you, personally, I don't want to encourage that. I don't want to interact with those type of streamers. I don't want to promote them. I don't want to pretend they've got good takes. I don't want to create that kind of fucking environment. You're allowed to disagree. But if your content is about how you disagree with me or how you disagree with Hassan, but leftister, you are a parasite. I want you to build your own community that is about what makes you exist. What do you bring to the table? What are you doing? What ideas do you have? What knowledge do you have? What experience do you have? Why should I watch you for you in a positive way? Not, I'm going to just parasite like a leech off of Hassan and Mike's community in order to create this negativity. Can I get a career for agreeing with you and Hassan? No, that's my point. Agreeing with me is great. Agreeing with Hassan is great. But why should I watch you? Bring something to the table. Have a niche. Have a reason for existing.
Okay? So why is it that the expectation of your, favorite political commentator is that you have to agree with every single thing that they've ever said, and that the expectation from them is that, they have to be perfectly pure like a brand. They have to be perfectly pure like a brand, and they have to be infallible. That's impossible. And if one side is demanding infallibility and the other side is not, the side that's not demanding that will always win in the long run. Okay? It's that simple. So I say, don't lean into oppositional framing, and don't cave or capitulate to silly right-wing takes like this.
And at the end of the day, that is what we're building. Work 9 to 5 or slander Hassan and Mike from PA for pennies on the dollar. I mean, like, I understand why people do it, but I just don't want you guys to consume that content. By the way, James Talrico winning. The Mike from PA argument is that we're about to live through a landslide election. And so our job is to get as many DSA people nominated in as many places as possible, because they're going to fucking win. All right. What else did I want to... I did get around to watching the pod save guys, but I did want to make fun of Hutch. Did I not have the Hutch clip? Hold on. Before I go, I wanted to make fun of Hutch.
I don't know. I'm kind of agnostic in that race. Like, I don't really like either of them, to be honest with you.
Really?
I mean, I liked McMorrow. Yeah. I mean,
the funniest thing in the world is that Haley Stevens is Destiny's politics par excellence. Corporate stooge, centrist, loves Israel. Doesn't want to regulate, taking infinite money in politics, doesn't stand for anything, believes nothing is possible, hates DSA, is an Islamophobe. And yet even she cannot get Hutch's support. Do you understand like how bad you guys' politics is, that you don't even support the candidate who most directly aligns with yourself? That's how dumb you are. That's how unappealing it is. That's incredible.
wow. I don't know if he gets elected. I do think like he's a bit of a showboat. Like, I don't know. I don't like his vibes, but
bro, Barack Obama was doing speeches in stadiums and he would have great Greek columns put up with ivy wrapped around them. And he would walk around a 360-degree stage and he would like look into the distance and wave. Now, I'm sorry. There's never been a more showboat politician in American history than Obama. And I think all four of you would suck his dick. You drag your balls through broken glass to lick the bottom of his shoe after he used a public urinal. Okay? Like, there's never been more of a showboater than Obama. So you don't give a shit about that. And vibes, I mean, bro, you're friends with Destiny. You enjoy rancid vibes. What are you talking about?
I'm closer to policy on when it comes to him, like over Stevens, but I just like the way that she cares.
Hutch thinks he's closer to Abdul El Sayed on policy than Haley Stevens. They're so dumb. They're so dumb. They literally don't know anything. They're just randomly speaking. And notice how none of the other guys call him out. When four idiots combine, you have vapid content.
Carries herself more. And I do think that the fact that she got the endorsements from people that are actually plugged into Michigan politics, like, I do care about that stuff as a voter. I think that
she got those people's endorsement because they're corrupt oligarchs who take infinite money from corporations and APAC. And they serve the interests of the corporate elite, and they represent the corrupt faction of the Democratic Party, which is why we can't beat the right, because they're constantly sabotaging our efforts. You are stupid.
Stuff does matter. And so, but I really don't have like a strong preference either way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I feel like I'm the only Stevens champion out there right now.
Like, I'm really important, maybe one of the most embarrassing losers of all time. He used to try to present himself as like an Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders guy. But because by the way, he went to the AOC Bernie, Stop Oligarchy rally in Los Angeles. And he walked up to me and I said, why the fuck are you talking to me? You're a Destiny orbiter. You hate this type of politics. Why are you here? You're a fucking fraud. What are you doing here? And then there was like other influencers that I kept going, that guy likes Destiny. He's getting sued for revenge porn and he's defending him. He hangs out with that guy. And so now I guess he's pivoted toward basically being Destiny's footstool even harder. And he's promoting like Sherrod Brown, Talrico, and so basically just like all the inoffensive right-wing centrists. I'm going to make myself like a Democrat partisan for those people.
I don't know, because even Josiah said he was with El Sayed last night.
He did,
so
yeah.
I was surprised to hear that, but I mean, put the APAC stuff aside, which I know is hard for a lot of people, and I think she's a good candidate. I mean, she's got the experience. She's just seems like she knows what she's doing. I'm more concerned about El Sayed.
She's got like the experience, man. Incredible. I'm gonna go with the PhD MD, man. I don't know. Over the Democrat machine politician who moved to Michigan to run for office. I don't know, man.
Not being able to have the Democratic Party in Michigan coalesce around him if he wins because he's been so nasty. Like when Gretchen Whitmer endorsed Stevens on Friday, he was like, we still got potholes that need to get filled 8 years later. And it's like, all right, bro, like you're not helping yourself here by attacking people who chose to go a different direction. You know, it's like you're going to need those votes and those endorsements in the general. What are you doing, man?
So what you're saying is you should kiss the ass of people who don't like you in the primary. So what he's saying is you should kiss the ass of the people who didn't like you in the primary. Well, I guess you're going to be sucking me off, right? I don't remember you guys doing that in 2024.
Helpful. His location should be publicly available at all times while he's streaming. If Dan wants to do something useful and still be a Hassan hater, yeah, someone should send.
This was in January. What does this have to do with the event?
And this is helpful.
Guys, Destiny was calling for IRL stalking and harassment of Hassan, but it was like months ago. Why are you talking about that being a reason to ban him? IRL, dumbest person to ever live.
You want a reason to not kill yourself? I'll give you one. Job's not done. Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio are still alive, and you want out? You want out? Come on, get back in the fucking game. We still got work to do.
Lock in. Real big Chungus, I salute you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done. I'm going to send you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to the Violette, who is shrimp maxing, although I think she might be afoot today. I'm off to record a podcast with 3 arrows about the AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, and right-wing politics in Germany. So everybody stay safe. Solidarity forever. Socialism will win. And of course, free Palestine. Ladies and gentlemen, it'll never be better than now. You are living through the good times. Let's make them last. All right, everybody, here's all my links. Don't forget, subscribe to the Reaction Podcast, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.